Well, it's another podcast. It's called Picking It Out. It's another podcast. It's called Picking It Out. We got Mr. Greg Fowler in the house. Yeah, and we're going to be picking it out.
How long did it take you to write that? Has he got a bridge, a chorus?
There wasn't no bridge to cross it out.
Oh, that's all right, man.
Well, hey, y'all. Appreciate y'all tuning back in with us here. Real excited today. Got a guy here that has been a part of the Alabama family. I really don't know what you'd title him with at this current point because he's been a little of everything. But the main thing is he's part of the family. And Mr. Greg Fowler, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Yeah, a little of everything and much of nothing. You know, that's. I've been asked what's your title, and I've had a bunch of them, but it's like. That really doesn't mean a whole lot, you know. I mean, it's for me and for Alabama in my days and years with Alabama, and it's all been about. And even with Jake Owen for a while there, it's always been about just whatever needs to be done. You know, we get it done, and especially with these guys. I mean, I've been tour manager. I've written songs with them. I don't know, been a publicity guy, the press guy, but it wasn't hinging on, oh no, that's not my job description. I think the description is the job, you know, and so that's how that's all gone for me anyway. And
you was with them in South Carolina. That's where you're from, pretty much.
Yeah, I grew up in around a little town called Loris, South Carolina, and it's about 35, 40 miles from Myrtle Beach, from Ocean Drive, the coast. But it's far from anything about Myrtle Beach. At the time, especially, it was a tobacco farming community along like so many other little towns in that area were, Tabor City and Mullins and Marion and that whole area of the PD. Of South Carolina. That's what that area is referred to as. And mainly because there's two PDs that flow through it, Big PD and Little PD. There you go. How about that? There you go, the rivers. But that's where I grew up, loved it. I grew up spending a lot of time out in the country working in tobacco and in the summer, you know, and just my daddy ran the body shop in town, and my mama did some hairdressing work, and I grew up as any other kid during that particular period of time would. And I'm talking the 50s, and then moved to Florence, South Carolina, when I was in the fourth grade, and then one thing led to another, and I ended up in Myrtle Beach because I always wanted to be in radio, and that's a long story, but that's what got me eventually to Myrtle Beach, and that's how I became acquainted with these four boys from Fort Payne, Alabama. That's how at the Bowery. We were on air at WKZQ FM Rock 102. We weren't even a country station, and honestly, I wouldn't say they were necessarily a solid full-time country band. Jamie Johnson said something about them that I thought was so perfect. Now I'm going to say it wrong, of course. Jamie will hunt me down, but. He said, basically the thought was that Alabama's a bar band that became a touring band, but they never stopped being a bar band.
Yeah.
In so many words. And it's true. That's exactly right. They're the same guys in so many ways now that they were when they were playing for tips at the Bowery in Myrtle Beach.
Jeff said this funny thing one time, told me, they do little things like for $100 bill right now, for $200 bills, we'll play any song y'all want backwards, and have all these drunk people up there just trying to reach and give them money, and they'd request a song. He said we'd turn around, face the wall, and start playing.
Oh yeah, the Bowery was billed as continuous entertainment.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what it was back then. It may have changed some now, but when I say back then, I'm talking the early 70s, all the way through 79, that period of time. There was no, they didn't have a jukebox. There was no dance. First of all, dancing wasn't allowed. You couldn't, if you got up to dance, they sit you down and sit down. And so the band basically had to entertain. They couldn't lean on anything. All right, we're going to take we're going to turn on the jukebox and y'all play some covers, whatever. They couldn't, there was no way to do that. And so they're crap. But again, you can't play. Teddy said this. He said they realized early on when they got to the Bowery that under those circumstances, you couldn't play 6 hours a night. Your fingers would fall off. You just couldn't do it. I mean, it was terrible. And said we realized then, Teddy said, we, the band, Alabama, Randy and Jeff, realized then that they had to come up with something to keep it going to satisfy the continuous entertainment clause. And so that's when they started, telling jokes. They'd bring people up from the stage to sing songs. They'd bring the waiters up to, waiters is a real generous term, I might add, for the boys at the Bowery. But they would get up and do songs. They would play some. They had go-go dancers. It was an absolute, it was a circus, man. But it was great because people who came there, they got a real taste of something that was not going on anywhere else, I promise you, in Myrtle Beach or the Grand Strand at that time. There was nothing like it. Nothing like it. And I think that largely, had a lot to do with their ability to just hit it on the fly, man, to make things happen, make up songs. Teddy said that they did everything from A to Z. They cuffed a ZZ Top. And they did. And it was that they had to do that because playing for tips, these people who came in there, man, they're coming in from Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, North Carolina, Georgia, wherever for vacation. And they want to hear something they heard on the radio. And it may not be a country song. It may be Casey and the Sunshine Band, man. And if they didn't know it, of course, they're working off tips. So if you want to hear it, you're going to have to, they bring the old piss pot around and take the tips. But if they didn't know it, they do just enough of it to satisfy the tip,
right.
And if somebody would trump that tip or song with another song, hey, I'll give you $100 to play, boom, that stopped immediately, and they went to that one,
Yeah.
But again, that was part of the show. That's how they did it. It wasn't like, okay, we're going to go out there tonight, guys. We're going to do an hour set list, and then we're going to take an hour and a half, and then we come. No, it didn't work that way. In fact, I'll tell you this is funny. The boys in the band, the Alabama Tribute Band, they're right out here. They're good guys. They are. They've helped us a lot with the June Jam Foundation. They do a lot. They do a lot of good, and they're endorsed by our guys. We let them run with it, but or they do. But I remember they got an opportunity to go play the Bowery, and this was like maybe 2 years ago, and and I remember Michael Weatherly, who's basically the lead singer in the band. He told me this story, so I know it's the truth. He said they went over there, and they'd never been over there. They didn't know what to expect. They went over there and said they were going to try them, see how they did. So they had them booked, and so they get up, and Victor Shimano, who's the guy, he was there. He was the guy that basically was the guy that was very much instrumental in Alabama, was at the Bowery. That's how long he's been there. They own the place, he runs it, whatever. So anyway, they get up there, the boys in the band do, and they do their set. They got it all figured out. They can do their like hour or whatever, and then that's it. They're walking off the stage to take a break. And Victor goes, he goes, hey, where you guys think you're going? Huh. And he said, well, that's all we got. We're going to, take it. And Victor said, oh, no, Yeah, you see the sign that says continuous entertainment. He said, I don't care what you do, you need to get back up there and start entertaining. and they did. But see, that was the genre of the place, man. And that's what it was. It loud. I mean, people in there slamming. And if there was a tip, they had a cowbell. If somebody gave a big tip to one of the bartenders right in the middle, it didn't matter, right? Randy may be doing Feel So Right, or late. It didn't matter, late, whatever. And bang, 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 bang. It was like, I mean, it's just, that's what it was. And I'm sure what it is still, probably.
Bottles breaking and everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was funny too because they had two Myrtle Beach police cars. The city jail, Myrtle Beach City Jail was, I don't know, maybe a mile and a half from the Bowery at the most, maybe. And they always had two cop cars sitting right there. Two, not one, but two. And so, and I loosely use the word waiters for these guys because they were tough, right? A varied background. Every one of them had a background of some sort. And if somebody started something, it didn't last long, buddy. They converged in a hurry. And the Bowery's not that big. It's not like you're going to Walmart, something that big. It's small. Yeah. And so, man, they had whoever it was, whatever they were doing. And sometimes it took all of them. I mean, you'd have some of these kids coming in there fresh out of boot camp or from Paris Island or Camp Lejeune, man, and they're full of it. And they're ready to go. You know what I mean? They got some built-up testosterone or something. And they couldn't obviously converge on whoever it was, the culprit. And they'd grab him, whoever. Sometimes it was a girl, but most of the time it was a guy. And the door would swing open. They'd toss him in the back of one of the Myrtle Beach police cars, which is sitting right there like a cab stand. That one would take off, and the other one would be there till that one got back. Because just in case something else broke out, they had a backup car. And but again, that's the way. There was no chicken wire or any of that Texas crazy mess you see sometimes. But it was just that kind of an environment, man. And it was a fun place. A fun place to go and hear a band that they were playing original music, man. They were doing cover songs too for money. I mean, because that's what they did. Yeah. But they were also they were doing Feel So Right and Tennessee River and Why Lady Why and Lady Down on Love and Mountain. They were doing these songs for tips and right there off the stage of the Bowery long before they ever got a record deal on RCA. Way long before they ever got that deal done. So that's part of the whole. That was the genre of it. And I remember when I first got to Myrtle Beach, I was working on an AM station at the time. The sister station to the FM, which I would later work for. But I was reading these little 3x5 index cards, like you buy at Walmart or wherever, and on the card it said, tonight, enjoy the sounds of Wild Country, 50-cent draft beer, ladies free, to whatever. It was like a 15-second spot, and they ran a bunch of them. And I remember Bill Hennessy, who was our general manager at the time of the station. I said, Bill, who's Wild Country? I don't know, because I'd just gotten to the beach, working down there. And I said, I don't know who these guys are. And I'll never forget what he said. He said, you will. Mm. Now, little did I know that was in 1973, that we'd be sitting here today in 2026 talking about four guys that impacted my life both personally and professionally, man. That's crazy, ain't it?
It is.
And I do know who they are now.
The world does.
Along with a lot of other people, right? Yeah.
Man, I know it'd have to be fun back then.
It was crazy.
But too, I can't think of a better way to learn how to entertain a crowd, how to just play. Because you got to play loud. You got to learn how to do different kinds of music. I know the Beatles was big. Teddy said on Randy going out picking cotton and seeing the Beatles on that song. That's pretty much everybody's story.
Yeah,
the Beatles were just that's what they really wanted to get into. But
Yeah, I mean these guys, and I like I said, I grew up in South Carolina. I didn't grow up in Alabama, you know, but knowing the history as I do, as best I know it, with Randy and Teddy especially, how they, I mean, man, these boys were just living up on Lookout on some adjoining farms up there, just trying to get by. You know, their family, hardworking, good people, and they're just showing up. Teddy and Randy, neither one of them had a brother per se. Not, you know, they were brothers. They were cousins, but they were more like brothers, and they just meet up. They get that old flat top out and just, you know, and Jeff, of course, was the city kid. He was down here. Randy referred to Jeff as a world famous local musician. He did. That was great. I thought it was perfect because Jeff was in all kind of bands. Man, he was JC and the Chosen Few, the Viscount. I mean, Myrtle Beach, but Fort Payne, so much like a lot of other towns in communities, I guess, especially in the 60s, because I know it was that way around where I lived too. There were a lot of high school kids that were being influenced by, like you said, the Beatles and the Rolling Stones or whoever, the Doors or whatever, and they had their own bands. And around here, as I understand it, it was very competitive. I mean, there were several really, really good bands here that at the time were pretty much going at it, and all of them were kids, man. And Jeff made the rounds. I think he played in about all of them, you know, and of course he was an electronics genius anyway, and he was on radio. He was always the technical side of everything. That's where I think his clock was wound, but he was a fantastic musician, man. He was just amazing. And he did it effortlessly. It was like he wasn't even, at first he wasn't thinking about it. I really don't believe he was. I think he was thinking about fishing or something. Well, the whole time he's playing, doing some solo, he's got his mind somewhere else, you know. But he's doing it just fluidly. I mean, it's like, I don't have to think about that. I don't know. So anyway, that's how that all came about. When they showed up at Jeff's house one day, Randy and Teddy came down, and he was at his home, and they knocked on the door and said, "Hey, man, you want to get together and pick a little bit?" So they did, over here on Sanders Avenue in Fort Payne, over here next to the railroad track. And they went in there and they got to picking and playing a little bit. And Jeff, of course, had everything made his back bedroom back there. Had amps and it's like his own music supply store back there. And I think that they realized that day, and I know they did because it's been said. Randy said it himself, and Teddy too, that they really feel that Sunday afternoon, that day they just showed up at Jeff's. Hey man, you want to pick and play a little bit? That was the day that the group Alabama was unofficially formed. That's when it started.
They realized they had something, I think.
They realized they had something that sounded really good, especially the harmonies and the way they were able to just jump in there and just sing the parts. And then from there they said, well, you know, now what? You know, so they entered a talent contest over here in Section, Alabama. That's all over here because that's where it is behind my head back over here. Yeah. And they won it. You know, they won that. They didn't even have a name. So they said, we got to have a name. So how about Young Country? I said, all right, that sounds good. But anyway, they won the talent contest, got some gas money to go to the Grand Ole Opry. And as it would be, Jeff took a reel-to-reel tape recorder with him to the Grand Ole Opry to get interviews and drop-ins from some of the artists that were on the show. That was perfect, so typical. Yeah. And after that, later on it was Wild Country and certainly then Alabama Band in Alabama. And I want to touch on that too. This is one of those little known facts, you know. Yeah. You may not know. Yeah. From going from Young Country to Wild Country, people who would come to the Bowery would see this band from Alabama, because that's where they were from. It was known as Alabama. All around the Bowery, and Teddy may have told you this when he did his interview with you before, that all around the Bowery were these little signs, just little signs about so big. And on each one of these signs was the name of a state, all 50 of them. And they were all over the Bowery, around the top. And at some point, somebody took the one that said Alabama down, and it was somewhere in the club, and they put it behind the drum riser. Wild Country was the band, but behind the drum riser was this little sign that said Alabama. And so these people who would come down, these tourists or whatever, who would come down to the Bowery, they may not remember the Wild Country part, but they remember they were that band from Alabama, that Alabama band. And so they unofficially became known, and then they later did a little trademark on that as the Alabama band, and then that eventually just became Alabama. There was never, ever, ever any intention whatsoever in the world for them to call themselves Alabama. That was never. Alabama, first of all, it's a state. You know, got that. It's a college. It's a football team. No, so the name itself just evolved. It evolved, and so, ladies and gentlemen, Alabama. That's
something I always wondered about too, about the trademark for it.
Yeah, they got it. Oh yeah, they got that covered because the main you can't. The reason it's trademarked is because specifically, and this was their process, their thought process. These boys, they were working for tips, but they were taking that money and they were putting it back into themselves. They each pulled a little bit back to live on. And remember, they got wives and it's kids too. They're still in Myrtle Beach. And they took part of that money. Randy was the booking agent. And they took the money and they put a portion of it back, of whatever they made, into their group account, Wild Country. That's where that was the parent company of the group, Wild Country. And so that money went into buying material for T-shirts. They could get their shirts printed, producing these albums that they had self-produced. They paid for the recording. They wrote songs. Then they packaged them, had them packaged, and sold them off the stage of the Bowery, or wherever they were playing, if they weren't playing in Myrtle Beach. T-shirts, same way. So their marketing was, at that point in time, was way ahead. They were very much into the business model of not just, hey man, how much money did we make tonight? Oh, okay, here's your cut, here's mine. Let's go have a big time and maybe no, they put it back in, man. That's one of the things that I've always felt impressed by them is the business approach that they took. And getting back to the copyright, they dropped A's, I think they're called French A's or whatever they're called, with the logo, it's got the deal. That's why they were able to incorporate a copyright on it. Wow. And not because if it says Alabama, you can't copyright that, but they could copyright that one because it's got that little R on it too. But if you see that Alabama, there's a little R right there, and it's registered, and that was part of the deal. They wanted something that was theirs, man.
I don't know if you know or not, but did they draw that out or did somebody create that? Because that looks
I would have to defer that to Mr. Teddy Gentry and Randy Owen. Yeah. I'm sure they did. And Teddy may have been heavily involved in that because he took drafting classes and stuff. So I don't know, but that's a good question. I've never really asked, didn't know, but I know that they designed it. It was their own definite creation. They did it themselves.
And when you look at it, it's just perfect. Like
it really
linear or whatever you'd call that. It looks good on a big old banner, on a big old album cover, T-shirt. It's just perfect. Them loops in the bottom of them A's. Yeah. It's just perfect.
I think that was part of I think, without knowing about it, I think that was, again, largely a part of their thought process was, let's do something that's unique, something that nobody else is doing, something that is going to stand out, that we can call our own, man. And that's obviously worked.
Oh, yeah. And so many musicians are not business-minded people. That's
No, they're not. And but that whole time, man, that whole period back then, and you know this, it was everything. The structure was totally different. Back then, and I keep saying back then, because back then, and I'm speaking specifically of the late 60s, mid 60s, 70s, early 70s, and pretty much right up till the time that Alabama really blew it open when they got signed to RCA in April of 1980, April 21st, actually. It was a male vocalist, whether it was Conway Twitty or a female Loretta Lynn or whoever it was. And you had the lead singer and you had a backup band. And the band, they always had a name. It was, Conway Twitty and the Twitty Birds, Loretta Lynn and the coal miners. They had a name, but they weren't out front.
Yeah.
Alabama, man, when they hit the scene, it was like, okay, we are the band. We're the vocalists. We're the songwriters. We're the band. We're all. This is it. It's what you get. Jeans, long hair, beards, football jerseys,
yeah.
And the record industry was like, well, these guys, I'm sure they're great, but we're not ready for this. This is not. This bands break up. We will sign an artist. We'll sign a male. We'll sign a female, maybe, because they're good. But the rest of you guys, it's got to be, we're not big. No, we're not willing to take a chance on a band. They're going to break up, and then what we got? Mm-hmm. They broke the mold on that deal, son. I mean, once they got pushed through on the New Faces Showcase, they found their way on there, and that's another story. Joe Galante and I say New Faces Showcase in Nashville, it still goes on. For those who may not know, young artists who may or may not have a solid major record deal perform in front of radio executives and industry people, radio people. The convention is still held in Nashville. They've done it forever and ever and amen. And these certain artists will be invited to perform in front of these radio people. And not only the radio people, but the industry people, record label people are there. And Alabama performed that night, man, and the story is, it's amazing because, again, now these guys are a band. Now, this is 79. They've been doing it a while. Right out of the Bowery. Same everything. And they get there to the event in Nashville, big night, this is their opportunity, finally going to get a shot. Now, remember, they've been turned down by this time by every record label in the business. Everybody, nope, don't need it, don't want a band, not interested, no thank you, sure you guys are great, good luck, congratulations, have a nice day. But through hook and crook, literally, they managed to get themselves on the New Faces Showcase. And when they got there, same deal. No, you guys aren't going to be able to play your own stuff. Sorry. Again, this was the model back then. We have the Opry band. They're going to back you.
Yeah.
Okay? Reba McEntire was on that same showcase. No, you can't. No. Mark had to sit in the audience and watch. He couldn't even play. Teddy tells some great stories about how he was trying to look. No, there's no steel in this song. It's you got. And so when they were through, and they got finished that night, they doing a couple of songs. Everybody gets to play a couple. They were so disheartened. They were absolutely crushed because we finally got a shot in front of all these people, radio people, record label people. And we couldn't even be Alabama. We couldn't be who we are. We couldn't. We got this incredible band back here, but they're not playing it like we play it. They're not. Where's my stuff?
Yeah.
And so they get home, and this was before cell phones. So you had the answer machine. Mm-hmm. And I believe there was a number of messages, I think, on Randy's phone, and one of them was from Joe Galante, and. As disheartened as they were that, there goes that, I think there were 4 labels who immediately wanted to sign them.
Wow.
I mean, just like that. And as it's been told, because I'm still in Myrtle Beach at this time. I'm still finishing up my radio career. As it's told, they signed with RCA because they wanted to be on. That's the Elvis label, man. They want to be on there with. They want to be on there with the dog.
Yeah.
And Tennessee River was RCA immediately took it, signed them April 21st, 1980. They immediately took Tennessee River and made it the first single. That basically Harold Shedd at Music Mill and the band. They went. Back then it was a little mill across from the Hall of Fame Motor Lodge there in in Nashville. They took basically what they had already had and just remastered some of that stuff, man, and put it out. And it was like overnight, boom. Tennessee River was released. It went to number one as Alabama was basically finishing up their gig at the Bowery. Here they are, they're still at bar band. Still right there at it. And Tennessee River is now the number one country song in the United States. How about that, dude? Is that not crazy?
It's wild.
Is that? And people say, well, no. Mahomes in Alabama would have been. No, that's another one of these. Did you know?
Yep.
Mahomes in Alabama, which ironically was written in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, at Benton's Trailer Park, again on one Sunday afternoon. That song was released on MDJ Records out of Dallas as an independent single. And it was climbing. It was being released independently without any major record label support. And it had made the top 40, and it was moving up a little into near almost the top 20 song. But that's when, after the New Faces showcase, they got signed by RCA. And Joe Galante said, let's put that one away. It's been played a lot. Let's go with something right out of the box. It's got a lot of tempo to it, and it's going to make an impact. And so Mahomes in Alabama was never an RCA single. It never was an RCA single. It never was a number one record. It never really got that opportunity. Tennessee River was what they came with first, and it went straight to number one, and the band had 21 consecutive number ones. And that's another story. They got tired of it. It was like, not tired of it. That's totally wrong. They didn't get tired of it. I think they became burdened in a way with chasing the rabbit.
Oh, I can't imagine.
This album just sold 5 million copies, and back then, man, a record went. If you were going to get a number one record, it was done in 11 to 12 weeks.
Yeah,
you didn't even have to report. You didn't have to show that you played it. All you had to do was say, we played it this many times.
Yeah.
That was the industry. And so 11, 12 weeks, and you got a number one. And once it went to number one, whoever it was gone. It rarely was there a record on country charts that stayed up there more than 2 weeks. Sometimes, but rarely. So that was the system. That's how it worked. And so every year, a new album, every year, man. And they would pull 3 to 4 singles off of it. 12 weeks, do the math. Here it is, 11 times 3, 36 weeks, 48 weeks, you see? And it was boom, 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 boom. And so what happened, and without fail, every one of them went to number one. And so Sonny James had the record of 19 number ones. That record had stood forever. And I will tell you this, Alabama, we were the last ones to chase records. We weren't out chasing records. We were trying to make great records, but we weren't chasing records at all.
Yeah.
And so, sure enough, it hit 19. That was a tie, and by now the industry's involved. Oh, Alabama just sides, and the label got behind it. Man, hey man, this is great. Then we had 20 and 21. So now they're consistently the all-time consecutive number one record release group, band, artist, whatever, in country. And that was it, man. But at this point, it was like, we know we got great songs. And see, and this is often the case with artists. Somebody said this, and I think it's perfect. As an artist, you've got your whole life to get your first album together, when there were albums.
Yeah.
After that, you might have 6 months to get the next one.
Yeah.
So, but Alabama had basically the traveling, the touring, the nonstop going, then back in the studio and going back on the road, studio road. There was still writing going on, but it became almost impossible. You couldn't keep up with the machine. And I say that, not that they weren't still able to write great songs, but the industry now, they see what this is all about, buddy.
Yeah.
And every publisher in Nashville were dying to get Alabama cuts.
Oh yeah.
We had to back then it was cassettes, man. You know, that's
what I grew up
you
on.
put them in there, and Alabama. I was out there with them, so I was. By this time, I'm on the bus, tour, I'm doing all that. I'm everywhere they are. I'm there, so I'm privy to everything that's going on out there, and including listening to these songs when they come in. They come in with a batch of, a manila envelope full of cassettes that. Kevin Lamb at our publishing company, Maypop Music at the time, we got some more songs, and when you're on the road, man, and you got nothing else going on, you start putting these cassettes in and listening to them. And honestly, for what they were looking for and what their sound was, who they were, even though they didn't write these songs, they knew what hit them. They knew what worked and what wouldn't work, because they knew you could have a great song, an absolutely fantastic song, and they had some of them pitched that other artists that they turned down, that other artists would go on to record and have monster hits with, but they didn't fit what Alabama was all about. And one of the things that was absolutely of the utmost importance for the guys, you had to be able, if this is going to be a record for you and maybe a single, and maybe a big record, you got to be able to do that boy live. You've got to be able to perform it live. And you want something that's going to represent you. And it may be a ballad, or it may be something really up-tempo, but they got to do it live. And if it doesn't compute for them as something they can really pull off live, they'd pass it off for somebody else. And it didn't mean the song wasn't great.
Yeah.
It just didn't fit necessarily what they were looking for. And so we hit this point, and now they got 21, and Randy had written a song, which was still one of my favorite Alabama songs, Tar Top.
That's my favorite.
And he wrote it as a gift. He wrote it for Teddy and Jeff. It was a gift. It was like a Christmas gift or something. He said, he just wrote it for them. It wasn't whatever. It was on the album. And the guys said, look, this is great. We've got to have all these number ones, and we still want them. We're not, we don't need. No, you always want to achieve your best and put your best stuff out there. But I think at that point, there was a lot more to it. We were getting pretty tired. This had been going on for, nonstop. And the touring and all of it. And so they got the song, and the guys said, look, man, let's release. Tell the label we want to release Tar Top. Let's put it out. The range said, well, this is basically for y'all. I didn't intend no. I think, we've done all right with our records, and I'm sure we got more on there to do good. But I vote we release Tar Top. And man, the label wanted no part of that deal at all. It was like, wait, no. Look, guys, you got a lot of great things. Look, you've had all these number ones in a row, and this song, it's a great, well-written song. No doubt, Randy, you're a fantastic song. This is awesome. But I don't think the general public, your audience, from a marketing standpoint, your audience, they're going to really relate to it. I don't know if radio will embrace it like they have Old Flame and Mountain Music and Feel So Right and Lady Down on Love and Tennessee River. And they said, well, we don't really. And see, at this point, when you've had 21 number one records and you've already sold a gazillion albums, you have what's known as clout. You're not necessarily going to be able to pull that off on your first single release. But by this time, these boys had a pretty big hammer. And it wasn't like they were, hey, no, we're out. No, it was, no, for any number of reasons, this is a band decision. We want to release it. And they did. They didn't like it. They weren't sold on it, the label, but they did. And there were some stations that just didn't, they weren't going to play it. Nah, man, that ain't Alabama. We want this, we want that. No, they didn't care. The band did not care. I promise you, that did not matter. The song, I think, went to either number 7 or number 5, so it was still a top 10 record. But that was it. And so when that was done, and again, this was never even supposed to be a commercial single, but it had reached a point. Well, wait a minute. No, let's do it. You know, it's like, where's that line in the say? And there was no conflict about anything with the label there. It was a great relationship. Obviously, they're making a lot of money from selling records, and Alabama's doing well. And it was a great relationship. And so after that air cleared, then we went on and released, I think, 3 or 4 more number ones in a row. You know, it was just like, okay, let's go.
Ain't that something though? Because to me, that is my favorite Alabama
Amazing.
song. And it to me, like how they say, no, it don't sound like it. It sounds just like Alabama to me.
Yeah, and I think now, when you hear it now, when I hear it now, knowing being a part of a lot of this,
yeah,
it's even better.
Yeah.
You know, it's so, and if you listen, and I know you know the song, but for those who may not, if you listen to the lyrics, how Randy wrote it.
That was July hot and 30.
It's right, and it's the story of going to Myrtle Beach. It's the story. It's the follow up to My Home's in Alabama, because in My Home's in Alabama, took my songs and dreams to Nashville and moved on to, and then in Tar Top, it's like, here's what happened. Yeah, we did go to New York. We did go to a lot. We did all the things that My Home's in Alabama, even though they'd never done it.
Yeah.
When Randy and Teddy wrote My Home's in Alabama in Benton's Trailer Park in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, they hadn't been to New York City or L.A., but the song was written almost as a dream that came true. And then Tar Top, it's like you could splice the two together and go, well, look, this is part 2. It happened, That's right. So that again, that's another one of those just great songs. It never ever was supposed. It never was. Hey man, look what I just wrote. Man, we can't wait to get this. No, it was not. In fact, the resistance to it was pretty strong, but it didn't matter. It's kind of like one of my favorite Bob Seger songs is "Turn the Page." That ain't a single, buddy. That ain't, and it's still one of the best songs he ever recorded.
God, yeah.
But see, it's those in Alabama, when they were getting back to all the cassettes you would get, and everybody hey man, the label was pushing hard for it too, because the Nashville community, as you know, everybody's in on it, and the labels, all of them, and the publishers, they were all kind of tied in. The songwriters were in with the publishers. Publishers were pushing their songwriters because they're getting their money. Yeah. The labels are obviously going to be the end result because that's where it's going to get out there. Yeah. And so there's all this whole bag of individuals working together collectively. And in a good way. I mean, these are great songs, man, that are coming out. I mean, people they're turning their game up, But the influx of all these songs was the vehicle that Alabama would use to continue to cut great records, even though they didn't write them. Their whole deal was, look, we don't have to write everything. See, I think I don't think it's that way as much anymore. There was a transition period in there where, not for the band, but for, I think, a number of other artists, if y'all don't write it, I ain't cutting it. And these boys didn't take that route. I mean, my gosh, if that's the case, Old Flame would have never been recorded. Yeah. How about Dixieland Delight? I was at the studio the day that at Music Mill, the band was working on an album, and Ronnie Rogers showed up in his Jeep out front with his little cassette. And he said, man, I heard the band's in here. He left it with Carolyn, who worked for Harold Shedd at the time at the mill, and said, I got this little old song here, and I don't know if the band thinks anything about it or not, but I'd like to leave it and maybe let them listen to it. Well, I think Dixieland Delight speaks for itself, and that song is just, I mean, come on, man. And that was Ronnie. He wrote it about it's where he lives out in at Leaper's Fork out there, man. That's his house. That's where he lives now. That whole everything he did. He rode around one day and he saw that old whitetail. He saw that red-tailed hawk. That's where he lived. That's where he lives now. And all that whole song was written about nothing but what he actually was a part of in his life at the time, man. And obviously, as I said, there's not a bar band in the world that doesn't know or play Dixieland Delight.
Lord, no.
I mean, I've been to events at Auburn. My sons graduated there, and they'd have a party like a big fraternity party, and there would be black bands. They'd hire a black band to do the, and they're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I told Ronnie, I said, son, I'm gonna tell you what, pal. You've written some great songs, but that's like Clorox and Q-tips, man. That carries its own brand, you know.
It does.
And he wrote, I mean, God, they wrote, you know, going through the big D, don't mean Dallas. Speaking
Chestnut.
of Chestnut, but again, it's just how things just seem to, you know. Sometimes when you plan stuff, it doesn't always go like you planned it, and when you don't plan it, sometimes just let it go and see what happens. Then all of a sudden, wow, how'd this come about? Wow, look what happened now. Look what this led to. Look, you know. But I will tell you this, buddy, they never ever stopped pushing as hard as they could. Maybe they weren't writing all their songs, but they were cutting the best of the best of the best. And I think the record literally speaks for itself on that.
Oh, Lord, yeah. It'll never be much less beat, but even matched. It won't even come close to being matched.
I think when you look at the awards, and I got them all memorized from having done this for so long, but, you know, when you won Entertainer, first of all, they were the first, I mean, they won Entertainer of the Year at the CMA 3 years in a row. That had never been done, ever. That was right off the bat. They won it 5 years in a row from the Academy of Country Music. So a period of you know, basically that length of time, 5 years, 6 or whatever it was, they won 8 Entertainer of the Year awards, 5 CMAs and 3 CMAs and 5 ACMs. And then, of course, I don't know, 23 American Music Awards, a couple of Grammys, 2 People's Choice Awards, 80, 90 million records sold, 43 now #1 singles, inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2005, Artist of the Decade from the ACM, and this one, the Recording Industry Association of America, RIAA, and anybody that's ever seen an album,
that's it.
It's on there, and that's the Recording Industry Association of America. It's easy for me to say. That, folks, those aren't ballots; those are counted sales, and the Recording Industry Association of America named the group Alabama as Country Music Group of the 20th Century. Now, I don't know. That's going to take another 100 years for somebody to beat that one, you know? So, yeah. I don't know. But, you know, and getting back to the group thing, you know, where nobody wanted one, once they hit, every record label in Nashville, Tennessee, and anywhere else was looking for the next group. Now we got to have groups. Yeah. Now, you know, and a lot of these groups came along with under the guidance of Alabama, not even on the same record label, but I mean, Diamond Rio, Sawyer Brown. I'm not saying that but they will tell you, I think, that Alabama was a large influence in their life and getting them an opportunity and that's why the band put so many groups in concerts with them, because they were a group and they knew that the obstacles that groups have had to face when they were trying to get a deal. That's why they wanted Diamond Rio, Sawyer Brown, Restless Heart, Lone Star. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. And it was largely, again, getting back to the band, that no, we want them up there. This is their chance, you know. It's our stage, but it's their time, it's their part, it's their opportunity in a way. And there was never oh man, I was jealous of these guys. It was like, man, go out and get it, son. I remember Charlie Daniels, man, one of the best tours we ever had. This was early on, mid '80s. Years run together for me now, but it was the Bellamy Brothers were the opening act. Charlie Daniels was the middle act, and Alabama was the closer. And I'll tell you what, brother, there was never an empty seat. And I'm surprised that many of them are still there because it got so torrid. I mean, the Bellamys were doing Bellamy stuff, and they're so good. I love those guys, man. They're just smooth. They're just great guys, period. They just are.
Yeah.
And then Charlie and his bunch, man, they'd go out there and turn it up. I mean, Charlie sawing on that fiddle, and I mean, the crowd's going nuts. And we'd be sitting around the dressing room, and you could hear it. I mean, it was just like, oh my God, how you going to? And then Randy or Tim said, "Boys, looks like we got our work cut out for us again tonight." And then Alabama would go out there, and they'd take it to another level.
Yeah.
Not saying that they're higher or better than Charlie Daniels or anybody else, but they just they picked up their tempo, their speed, their game. And boy, by the time those things were over, it was like, are you kidding me? It was like, what? Anything else, folks? And I think at the time we were doing, I think we had the encore song at that time. I know it was for a long time. They would come back out. No, it was after. Actually, it was after the Charlie Daniels tour. I know Charlie wasn't on it during this period of time, and they would do a. I think it ran about 12 to 15. They'd come back and do an encore, and the encore would be a medley of Southern rock songs. And the thing lasted about 15 minutes. I mean, it went on and on and on. And I mean, it wasn't just like, oh, here's part of it, and no. It was a jam within the jam, and everybody's playing, places going nuts. And that was their salute to their roots, man. And I'm saying these are Marshall Tucker, the Almonds, Charlie Daniels. It was all in there. Skinner, and it was like saying, because of these guys, they in a big way helped pave the way for us to break down some walls and kick some barriers in,
Oh yeah.
It was smoking, man. It was on fire. And I remember Charlie Daniels telling me one night, I'll never forget this. It was Hampton Roads, Virginia, and it was after the show. We were done. We were just hanging out, talking a little bit, and I said, "Charlie, you've got a guy's that's been with you for a long time, man," and he had. His boy's been playing with him forever, and I said, "Man, you do it. You've done it so well for so long. Charlie started off as basically a pop artist, long-haired country boy. Was not. No. We were playing that on KZQ, and I said it's just a credit to you, man, because we were all such fans of him, still are, even though he's passed. But we're big fans of Charlie.
Oh yeah.
And I said, Charlie, what's he? He said, son, he goes, always ride with the brand. Keep your people intact, But I'll never forget that. Stay loyal. Stay true to yourself. Stay true to your music. Stay true to who you are. But he said, and being a cowboy that he is, and what his whole legacy is so much Western there, he goes, always ride with the brand. I thought, only you would say something like that,
Yeah, that's the title of a book.
It's amazing. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. So anyway, and that's just another part of this craziness that we went. And then, of course, we had Lori Morgan and Clint Black, and that was another fan. Oh, man, that was a tour too, buddy. I mean, Lori was on fire. Clint had just come out with Better Man and Killing Time. And Alabama, of course, we were the headliners, and both of those were on RCA. Yeah. And so they were packaged in there. But that's another one that was just like, oh, my God, this is amazing. I mean, every time somebody popped the mic, a major hit came out, Yeah. But it was all part of the ride, man. It was part of that long, winding road, as the Beatles said, and we had ups and downs. We had moments. We had some real. We had times when Teddy said this, and I know it's a truth because Teddy tells the truth. Yeah. And they had a pact. That among themselves, Randy and Teddy and Jeff, they had a pact that when times especially were hard, man, when they were trying to get something going and this wasn't working, and well, how about this? Nah, man, we don't need you. Nah, it's great. We might like this song, pitch it to somebody, whatever. Did they? Even when they had every opportunity to quit, just say, look, let's just, Jeff, you can go back and do electronics, and Randy, you can go back cattle farming or whatever you want to do. Teddy, you can go back to laying carpet or running, whatever you want to do. But, if it's come to that, but they always said, we will fight. Teddy said this, we made an agreement, we'd fight, cuss, do everything in the world, but we would never use the word quit. We weren't going to quit. And he said, we had a bunch of opportunities and times that could have happened, but they didn't. And thank God they didn't. Just think of what a loss there would have been in our industry and in the world and music.
Yeah.
If they'd have said, man, that's it. I'm going home. I'm done. But I promise you, it wasn't because the opportunities to say goodbye weren't there. That's for sure. Because it was tough, man.
I can't imagine the pressure, And
it built. It got, the bigger you are, the more there was to do. We would go to award shows, and we were doing well. I always say we because
that's fitting.
It's a family thing.
You're part of it.
But even though I'm not on stage, I like being right where I am behind the stage. But,
there you go.
But it was such a. Oh, was it wonderful? Oh my God, yeah. You tell me somebody, an artist that doesn't want a number one record, that doesn't want to sell out a concert hall, that doesn't want to win awards, that I'm saying somebody's lying, And the band was killing it, man. We were winning and whatever and selling records and tickets and winning awards. But it was a hamster wheel too, buddy. You were going. You were going 24/7 because we were also doing 200 shows a year. So we'd finish, this is true, let's say we're playing, I don't know, let's say Boston, for example. All right, the ACM shows this week. Okay, so you get on a Delta flight out of Boston, fly across country to Los Angeles. You'd often perform, or be on the ACM award show, and most often you'd win it.
Yeah.
We'd win. We deserved it. Why not, And then you'd get back on another Delta flight. Usually it was the red eye that night after the show was over, and we'd fly back into Atlanta, and the bus, and later we had our own plane, the bus would be there to pick you up, and man, we might go straight from there to Hershey, Pennsylvania. We wouldn't come home. You know what I mean? It was, and then the same way with recording, because as we touched on the album deal. There was a debt. We need an album. We need an album. There's your debt. We got to have it. You got to have it. You got to cut it, bro. So we'd roll into Music Mill in Nashville from wherever. Didn't matter wherever you were, Kansas or wherever you were, and you'd roll in there and work on some tracks for maybe a couple of songs that night. When you got there, if you got there that day, you'd maybe rest a little bit, then you went to the studio that night, and you might work there till midnight or whatever, 0 dark 30, and you get back on that bus, son, and we're gone again, baby. We're headed for Manhattan, Kansas, or wherever, and it wore it, and then plus we were also doing June Jams at the time, and that was a whole nother event, and but point is, the guy and interviews and just things that don't necessarily reflect what's going on stage. And I promise you, I'm not sitting here whining about it, and they aren't either. It was just that's what it took to get the job done and to be the price that had to be paid to get to be where they are. Not only where they are, but who they are. And they worked. They got their work spirit never left them when they came off that cotton field up there. I promise you that. They went after it, son, because they knew this opportunity. This is a God-given opportunity, and they made the best of it. They weren't going to leave anything to chance, and it honestly it took its toll. Randy, I mean, he was, because when you're the front man, you know, the guy, and not that they weren't collectively Alabama or anything. Everybody was pulling their own weight. I mean, Teddy was very much involved with the band and making sure those guys had their act together. Jeff too, but Randy, he's the guy who's got to stand up there and sing it. He's got to deliver it, you know, and as the lead vocalist. And but again, they were so collective. They were all. I mean, it's Alabama, you know, but the pressure it wore on him. I don't think he ever had I know he didn't. He never had really the chance to grieve his father's death, because they had just gotten the whole thing that happened at the same time they were getting signed, and and his dad, he said it before in interviews, so I'm not saying something that he hasn't said, that one of the things that really still stays with him is his dad never really got to see them become the success that they are. But man, these boys worked it, and I know, because I'm right there. I'm pushing it. I'm working. I'm as guilty as the management company. Hey man, we got to get this done. We got to do this. Got this interview. Got this radio station. We got to. And they did it. They did it. We'd come off the bus, and they'd go straight in. We had hotel rooms back then, and honestly, man, they come off the bus. They go straight to their rooms, and I'd have a list of radio stations that we had to call. And we do it right then. I'd go to room to room to room to room. And back then, I don't know there's no telling what amount of money we spent on phone calls, because back then you had the AT&T card or whatever it was. It was like $1 million a minute, you know, whatever. And man, they sit there and talk to somebody graciously for 20 minutes, and then there'd be another one right behind it, and another one, and another one. And then they did it when they got home, when they came home. And then later on, Randy's involvement with St. Jude, and he's calling all these radio stations. And back then, too, man, again, no cell phones. We'd stop because we needed to really talk to, let's say, Quezon in San Diego. Big reporter, we're going for number one. We really needed a little extra love. And that wasn't uncommon. I mean, but we already had a relationship with these guys anyway, whoever it was, and we'd pull into a truck stop, man, and because they're the morning team. We'd pull into a truck stop at 7 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, and go to a payphone, and these truckers were, man, get off the phone. Oh,
I bet.
You know, they were not happy, and because they're trying to call home and talk to mama, and we're out there trying to get a record played. But see, that's how we did it then, man. Now you just pick up a cell phone or you go to your laptop and FaceTime somebody. But it was a whole different deal back then. But we got it done in such a classy way, I think, man. Yeah. They did it right, you know, and I think a point is that they always respected, still do, and honored their hero, the past, the people who came way before them, and also passing it on down to these young artists who've since come along. And now some of them are older guys too. You know, I mean, when you look at this thing for them, started over here in 1968. You know, it's been a while, man. A lot of miles on them old treads, but they've always given 100%, man. Still do, and I'm amazed, honestly, because I'm sure that, do they have to do it? No, but there's always something there, I think, man.
I think so too.
I think there's something that burns inside a music, and even an athlete. But an athlete, of course, not that artists, singers aren't athletes because you're using this, but they don't want to quit. But athletes sometimes they have to. Yeah. The game is it's passed them by. I remember Juice Newton saying, we did when you could advertise cigarettes. Yeah. We did the Salem Spirit Tour, and then we did 2 years of that. That was 82, 83. And then we did the Marlboro. After that, we did Marlboro. And this was when you could still advertise it. cigarettes, whatever. And R.J. Reynolds, they were very much a contributor to our June Jam and things like that. And right or wrong, they were friends of NASCAR. We were really big into that. And Winston, of course, was NASCAR at the time, and Winston saying, I mean, the whole community. We were very much involved in all that. And so anyway, we did these tours, and I remember on the first, it was Neil Thrasher. I say Neil Thrasher. Neil did our songwriter event. Boy, what a great songwriter!
Yeah.
Well, the Thrasher brothers were the opening act, and Neil told a story last year at songwriters event when he came here to Fort Payne to do it. Being a kid and running around with his dad and his uncles, the Thrasher brothers, out of Birmingham, and they were the opening act on this massive Alabama concert tour. And he said he remembered being just a kid, just running around, just trying to stay out of the way, but how amazed he was that this is something. And the Thrasher brothers, my God, they're award winners in so many ways themselves over the years. But it was a big top show, and he told that story about how Alabama impacted him as just a kid, being out from time to time with his dad and his uncles, the brothers, at these Alabama concerts. And I remember Juice Newton was on the show too. And she was basically a pop artist, pretty much. But I remember this. I'll tell you where it was too. We'd played Milwaukee, and arenas have come a long way in sound and production. A lot of them have been torn down, and now they've gone in and they've done it right. We're going to put in acoustic because they're making a lot of money off events, concerts, whatever, as well as bull riding or basketball or whatever. And I remember she said this press conference we did. We did these everywhere. There was such a demand for Alabama to get more and more interviews done or whatever. They couldn't do it because we signed autographs after every show till the last person left. That's what we did. So we started having a press conference. That was my deal too. I was the guy. We had it was like Meet the Beatles. It really was. We were staying in a hotel room, so every day we have this done in advance out our offices here. We had this place was crazy with people here, man. We had mail order room was just, it was like we were Santa Claus 24/7 sending out shirts and just trucks, loads of stuff going out. We had the promotion office, the production office. We had a lot going on here during this period of time. And I remember Juice Newton at this press conference that we did it every day on the tour at 4 o'clock. It was like Randy, Teddy, Jeff, and Mark would come down to the ballroom in the hotel we were staying at, and we'd invite all the media in the area in advance. They'd have an invitation. And it would be TV, newspaper, radio. It was everybody. There'd probably be 50, 60 people there, maybe more sometimes. They'd just packed. Everybody's there. And so that's what we did. And that way we were able to take care of those requests. Plus, we also used that opportunity to hand out everybody their tickets for the show that night. Yeah. And so now you can leave. You got your tickets. Yeah. You've already met the band. And they, again, after the press conference, they'd sign autographs, take pictures of everybody there till they were gone. And that usually lasted about an hour and a half. And then it was usually time for sound check, and then here we go. And then they signed autographs. But anyway, Juice Newton said, somebody had made a statement in the press. It was it was the afternoon of the show in Milwaukee. And I'm running the press. We invited them to. Thrashers could be a part of it, and then they'd leave. Juice would come in, she'd leave. Alabama would come in, or whoever was on the show with us. And somebody said, a question for Miss Newton. Well, she was the only one there at that time. Said, question to Juice. You've been around. I don't mean you've been around a while, but you're knowledgeable. You've got a nice career, and you've done very well. And I'm sure that you, as artists, want to always do. They want to put their best foot forward. They want to sound as good live as they do on record, which is not always the case. And they said, and having worked here for a good many years, I will tell you that this arena is terrible. It has the worst acoustics. It's awful. And a lot of bands who play here complain about it. I mean, but it's just not. So if it doesn't sound really good to you tonight, then it's not. It's just the way it is. And I'll never forget what she said, man. She goes, well, you have to remember, these venues, much like the one we're going to perform here tonight, were built for the human body, the sports entity, not necessarily for the human voice. I thought, damn, girl. And she's right.
Yeah.
And so that left, and everybody starts writing,
Yeah.
But it was those kind of moments, man, little things like that you remember over the years, and I never forgot that. Yeah, it may not sound like it, but remember, this was built for basketball. It wasn't built for somebody to get up there and sing soprano,
Yeah, that's right.
But
how I bet Randy was excited when Hank Jr. recorded Tennessee River too.
yeah.
Because he did it just a year, 81 or something,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I bet he was thrilled to death.
And that's one of the few songs it's it's funny, we've talked about this. Not like, hey, dig me, pat my back, but of all, and I don't know if it's because people don't want to touch them, but as many hits as Alabama's had and songs have been written by the group and others, very few people ever re-record an Alabama song. They don't. They just don't do it. It's not like, and I don't know if it's because I don't know if it's like you want to repaint the Mona Lisa. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe just stay away. But yeah, that was a big deal. And Hank, of course, being Alabama and I mean the whole yes, absolutely he was and is, and it's an honor, and it just yes. The answer is yes. Short answer, yes, absolutely.
I wonder how he come to that conclusion, Hank.
I don't know. Maybe it just hit him right, I mean, it speaks to him.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's about as Alabama as you're gonna get right there.
That's right.
I think maybe that's the same reason that so many people, even though maybe I think that's the same reason that people relate so strongly to Dixieland Delight.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is a very simple song.
Yeah.
I mean, it's basic, but I mean, look what that thing has done.
It's who don't know it.
Who don't know it? That's right. I mean, you can go down Broadway and on any night, afternoon, and there's probably 2 or 3 bands that's doing it at the same time.
Yeah, I guarantee you.
And it's just crazy, but some things are just. But again, Ronnie didn't know that. He knew he'd written a song that he really thought a lot of, and meant a lot to him because it was special. It was real. That was his life. That was something he just not put together, but he wrote based on what he saw around him. It wasn't like he went out and created something that wasn't real. It was totally real. And then look and then Alabama, of course, it was like, oh yeah, this is definitely going to be cut. And it's just like when the boys showed up at a fair one night with this little tape, a little song on it, said, boys, I think it was Johnny Lowry and Mac McAnally. This little cassette said, we got a song that I believe could be a good song for you. And tell you, yeah, right, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, not being sarcastic, but we'll see. And they put in Old Flame, buddy, and that was it. I think they wore the tape out, rewinding it and playing it back and over and over and over and over and over again. And I believe, and I could be wrong on this, but I think Mountain Music I think the album was pretty much done, and Mountain Music was going to be, the last song on that album. And they decided, once they got Old Flame, they put Old Flame on there and pulled Mountain Music back and made it the title cut off the next album.
Yeah, you're right. And the reason I know that is because I did one of them y'all think you know videos that I do. And I research this stuff so I don't get nothing wrong because there's conflicting information from people and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But it takes a lot of time, but I did one on that. And Donnie was actually the one that went to Muscle Shoals when they had a show out there and walked up on the bus because he had one on the Christmas record.
Yeah, he did.
I can't remember the name of it.
This'll Hair the Christmas Bear.
That's right.
I think
That's it.
Yeah.
And you had one on there too, didn't
We did. Santa Claus, I Still Believe in You.
That's a great song.
We wrote with Ronnie and I believe Teddy Randy on that, and Yeah, that was, and of course, let's not forget that little classic "Christmas in Dixie" that they wrote in the middle of July.
Yeah.
I think out at Jeff's and cut it out at Jeff's studio, man.
That's
RCA said we need a Christmas album. There we go. This was another deal, and they're going like, man, really? But we don't want to just cut Jingle Bells and let's put all these songs on there that everybody's recut a million. We're not just going to, no. If we're going to do one, here you go. Back to Alabama again. No. I mean, yeah, but if we're going to do a Christmas album, and that's great, whatever, that would be great. But we're not going to do just standard. We're going to cut stuff that nobody's heard before.
Yeah.
And they did, and that first album especially. That first, oh my gosh, it's just the Red album.
Yeah.
But yeah, Christmas in Dixie, man, that song, that sealed the deal, son. I mean, every time I hear that now, it's that way. I think for anybody who's ever, you don't have to be from Fort Payne, Alabama, or even from the South. It's so reflective of. No matter where you're from, because he talks about Chicago and Memphis, but again, it's not Alabama being, let's just pigeonhole ourselves and do it this way, and it's going to be this way, or no, they said, no, if we're going to do one, we're going to do it, again, we're going to do it our way, and obviously that worked out fine too, so.
What a song.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, every Christmas, about November, everybody's playing it on the radio.
You can hear it the minute it starts, man, here it comes, you know. But it's you got to write from. You got to either write about, I believe, what you know about. Mm-hmm. You can't. I don't think you can just go out there and write a song about. And I'm not even speaking specifically about Christmas. That's an example. But you got to know. You got to know what you're writing about. You can't just. I'm gonna write about whaling or something. You don't know anything. You can write about what. And I think that obviously, if you listen to the early songs, self-written songs of Alabama, I mean, there's the catalog, whatever, all of them. Those songs are written about who they are, what they are, They wrote about here. They wrote about Tennessee River. They wrote mountain music, about skinning cats. That was interesting. Church rocks. That was another deal. Things that may at the time have been maybe foreign to some people. But once it got lapped into the vocabulary, you may not know what it is, but you're going to sing along to it, the skinning cats thing that was a whole nother story, dude. The animal rights people were on it. They thought they thought literally it was
skinning cats.
Yes. And some people said, no, it's catfish. No, it's not. It's when you turn yourself inside out on a limb, hold yourself up, and turn yourself inside out. It was called skinning cats. That's what I always knew. In South Carolina, I'm not now. It was skinning cats there. And so when Randy put it in the song, oh, here we go. Here we go. My God, I can't believe there's stuff about skinning cats. And that took a while.
God.
The other was church rocks. I don't know if you know that story or not. That's a good one. Oh, yeah. About the label in New York. Okay.
Oh, no, I don't know.
Okay. Well, here you go. Randy likes to tell this one. Alabama's, they're killing it at this time. And, of course, and here you are in the song. There's church rocks is in there. And so Randy, I wish he were here to tell it, but he tells it so big. But it's so. I was there when it went down. They were invited to, I don't know, or summoned. I'm not sure which it is, up to RCA in New York. Now this ain't nice. We're talking about the high rise in New York City, and so the place it was kind of a meet the band kind of thing for all these New York executives, the big shots that ran Nashville, too. And so they're having this discussion, and mountain music comes up, and the whole thing about some of the lyrics in the song, and this was the big guy, the top guys, and they had a butler and everything, man, just bringing people, wine and sugar, whatever, a little sandwich. And it came to to the part of the song. I think they might have been playing it for them, and one of the guy that apparently one of these people that knows everything, said, "Well, there's interesting. You use that. What's that line? Shirt. What's that? Shirt. What is that? Shirt rock." And Randy said, "Yeah, that's part of where we live in Alabama. That's it. We have." And the guy goes, "There's no such thing. There's no such thing. A shirt rock. What is that?" Randy said, "Oh no, there definitely is." And the guy goes, "No." And he said he called the butler over. And he said, whatever his name is, he said, "We got a dictionary in here," and they find. Randy said they brought out. It looked like the Holy Grail. It was just about this thick. And he said, "Look it up. Look up shirt rock." Didn't ask Randy. Asked this guy, whoever the minion was. He said, and he said, "Okay, look it up. CHIRT. Nope, there's nothing in it." He says, "See, there's no such thing as a shirt rock." And Randy said, "Well, first of all, it's spelled CHERT. Look that up." A rock that's indigenous to northeast Alabama, And he said, "Okay." And Randy said, "I think he got fired." I believe Randy said, "I think the guy actually got fired later." Yeah. But again, that's writing about something you know something about, whether you're skinning a cat or a shirt rock, beating the paint off the side of your truck around here. I mean, you write what you know, man. You write what you know.
And I've heard him say, which I thought is what you was going to tell, that I think it was a woman that worked at a station one time said, "What is a church rock?"
Oh, yeah. Oh, we had all kind of, man, we had, people would be like, no, it's not a church rock. It's a churt rock. And see, I'm from South Carolina, man. I'm from down that middle section between the low country and the mountainous part, Greenville, up around that part. I didn't know what churt. Well, I never heard of churt.
Yeah.
We had a lot of dirt, but we didn't have churt.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I had no idea. But by God, Randy set them straight. They know now what a churt rock is. There ain't no doubt. But it was, man, it was like, but basically so much of that was just, it was an effort to market a band that didn't really, they didn't need to be promoted in some fashion other than what they were.
Yeah.
But when you've got these levels of executives, and I'm not beating on RCA. I mean, this is industry. It's just anybody, any label. But I'm just speaking from personal experience of what what happened to them was there were again, you got these different departments. You know what? These guys I know the jeans thing and the football jerseys and the hats and that's cool and all. And the kids like it, but I think we need to dress them up a little bit. Mm-hmm. So, man, they had Teddy in a pair of leather pants, black leather. I mean, they were trying to create this image of the Southern rock, rebel racing, flag flying band, and they were really not that. I mean, musically they were speaking and singing from their hearts, but we weren't trying to rewrite history.
Yeah.
But New York was, buddy. They wanted that. The whole thing was like, okay, well, if that's what you're going to do, then I guess we've signed the contract. We'll do it. But then after a while, they decided, you know what? You got to look. Just be you.
Yeah.
We've tried it all and it ain't working. I mean, so it is, but it's not who you are. And so that's what they did.
Thank God.
Amen.
I mean, that's what people wanted the whole time. And they were aware of it.
Yeah. And they knew it. But again, you've got people, it's like you've got a great idea. Mm-hmm. You come in here, I'm going to sign you, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, here's what we got to do, buddy. The first thing we need to do, let's lose the hat. Mm-hmm. And back then, too, remember, it was cowboy hats, too. Remember the trip deal, the whole Marty Stewart and Travis, all the cat, you were a hat actor or you weren't a hat actor. Yeah. And it was, that whole deal was like,
that's crazy. Okay,
so in Alabama, they wore hats for a while. And then Charlie One Horse, they got rid of them. And Teddy, they tried to dress him up, and he hated it. And he said, that's it on that. So he went back to the same thing he wears now, jeans and T-shirts and tennis shoes.
Yeah, if you see him over here in Tractor Supply across the street, he's going to be wearing.
That's exactly, and he's going to get ready. And if he may be driving here to Birmingham to get on stage, he'll be wearing the same outfit.
Yeah,
but again, it wasn't, and that's what. I mean, that's who they were, man. That's who they were. That's who they are. It wasn't, and not to say you don't dress up. I mean, my God, when you go to an award show or something, you're going to look nice. You're going to, you're not going to go up there like you just, fell off the back of a truck or something out in the country. But that's respect, man. Right. You do that as part of the industry. You do that because you want to show respect to those who are around you, who support, who are. I mean, if you see Charlie Pride over there dressed in a tux, or some of these other artists that you look up to, you want to look nice. You don't just show up, your pants falling off and looking stupid. You want to show that the fact that we're an honor to be here. I mean, we want to look good. We want to be good. Now, when we get off we leave here, and we hit that stage in Sedalia, Missouri, and it's going to be 115 degrees tomorrow afternoon at the state fair. You ain't gonna be dressed like this. I promise you. You're gonna have them jerseys on again, and those jeans. Those tennis shoes, and what have you. But man, the whole thing was it was a machine in a lot of ways. Whether it was our management company at the time with Dale Morris and Associates, and now with Tony Conway, and I reflect back to those days, because those were the days that I was really involved with the touring and all that. Man, we had it going on, brother. We had it in the record label. RCA was still the absolute best. They were the best. I mean, they didn't always agree with what the band wanted to do, and the band didn't always agree with what they wanted to do, but there was always that word called compromise, and they did. There was none of this. That's it. If you look at me, there was none of that. And we all did our best, they did, to keep that machine rolling at whatever it took to get the job done. And
Teddy's pretty much the one that kind of brought you on.
Yeah, he did, man. It was funny. He called me. I was in Myrtle Beach and radio. I was still there. They'd left. They got inside. They were already on their first year. And I think Teddy told me that the RCA immediately sent them to Texas. That's where they put them. They said, because if you can make it in Texas, buddy, you can make it anywhere. And I remember, this is also the same. This is 1981. All right. This was also the year of the Urban Cowboy.
Oh yeah.
All those. I have to give him props for this. And this is coming in from left field. John Travolta, like him or not, whatever, doesn't matter. When he did Saturday Night Fever, that blew disco and the Bee Gees soundtrack, of course. It blew everything wide open. All these clubs that were trying to figure out who they were, what they were, they're discotheques. I mean, everybody had the ball. They had the deal. People dressing up, and it was that boom, 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 boom. And then he's dancing, and man, all that soundtrack, the Bee Gees soundtrack, sold like 40 million copies. I mean, it was crazy. And then that kind of, peters out, and, it goes its own way. And then who pops back up in 1981 with a black cowboy hat on a mechanical bull? John Travolta in Urban Cowboy. And then here we go again. Now a lot of these discotheques, now they're country western bars.
Yep.
And now they got the mechanical bull. All the other stuff's gone. The ball's gone, but they got the bull. And I have to give him some credit for that, because here's this one guy that went from being this kid from Brooklyn dancing to this guy with a black cowboy hat working in the oil fields around Houston, Texas. And the stuff was filmed, a lot of it at Gillies. That's where they filmed a lot of that stuff. And so there was that going on too, see. And Alabama came right in on that same wave.
Yeah.
And so we were ready. I mean, it didn't mean, oh, it hadn't been for that. No. We had the bullets, son, in the gun. It was just a matter of firing it, and that didn't hurt any, you know. And then, of course, just prior to that, you know, Waylon and Willie, who'd had enough of Nashville, they took their act back to Texas. Yep. You know, I was like, this ain't working. I'm out of here. Mm-hmm. So then they come back, and then what? Boom! Now we got the outlaw movement, and then Willie went from having his hair all greased, slicked back, and all that. Man, here it goes, and Waylon's out there doing what Waylon does. Yeah. And then that whole thing just took over, and then you got the Southern rock movement that's rolling in at the same time. So I think the vehicle for all these different genres of music was right there. Whether you're listening to country radio or you're listening to pop radio, it's all a lot of them starting to come together. Yeah. You know, you may listen to Donna Summer, but you also can jack up Willie Nelson, you know, Luckenbach, Texas. There was a lot of that. And I think Alabama, and I know I was in radio during that time and then with the band after that time, so I knew what I saw. I was a part of what was coming because I'm playing this stuff. And I think it really lent itself. The timing was really good. Let's just put it that way, you know. And then, man, they had it. I mean, it wasn't like, oh well, no, Alabama. But see, they could do all that. Yeah. That goes back to the Bowery again. That goes back to the 8 Entertainer of the Year award. Man, they could do all that stuff. Man, they were just as comfortable doing one as the other. I mean, when they would in Myrtle Beach, they would Jeff would record like KZQ, the station that they'd record our afternoon show or whatever, and just to get the songs that we were playing. And we played a lot of new stuff, played a lot of R&B too, a lot of oldie goldies. We played a lot of stuff, but there would be songs, whatever there may be, like I'll say Casey and the Sunshine Band, for example, during that time. That was again like that same era. Yeah, and they'd learn some of these songs, just some of it, and so they could play them that night because sure enough, there's gonna be somebody down there that said, play something besides country, and they could do it, and they jump right in there, get that tip, baby, and then they're gone. Then after that, how about Okie from Muskogee? All right, we got that. We've known that forever, you know. Or Eagles. Oh yeah. Or whoever, REO Speed. They could do it all, man. They could do all this stuff, and on the fly. Again, the Bowery is continuous entertainment, the eighth wonder of the world. The eighth wonder of the world. That's what they call themselves. Oh man! But it was what a ride, man. And I was blessed to have been asked to be. First of all, I was blessed to get it. You know what I mean? When Bill Hennessy, like I said, told me, I don't know anything. Who's wild? Who's wild country? When he said, "Well, I don't know who these guys." Well, you will, and by golly, that's come to fruition. But to have been a part of it, just whatever little bit part that I played in all this craziness, I'm so blessed, man, to have had that opportunity, to be able to sit here and talk about it. I don't need cue cards or index cards. Right. You know, you've lived it, you know it. You know, but it's been what a wonderful, wonderful ride. And we farewelled in 2004. And it really needed. It was time. Yeah. I think we needed that break, but it wasn't like, okay, we're going to get back together in 6 months. No, it took years before they came back. But at that time, I wasn't doing anything here, and it was time for me to figure something out. And then Jake Owen came along, who you've interviewed, and he was also managed by Dale Morris and Clint Hyam, and so I said sure, and so I was with that boy for 13 years. And in fact, and Jake may have told you this, but the first time I ever met Jake Owen, I had never had any intention of going to work. I didn't. Clint had sent. They had just signed. Clint Hyam had just signed, and Dale Morris had just signed Jake to a management contract. And they also had just gotten his RCA, again, record deal. Same management company, same record label. Yeah. And he was cutting his first album. And the title song off, it was Yeehaw, and then it was starting with me, and then so Clint had sent Randy a copy of the disc before it ever was released, the album. Back now we've made it though to CDs. By this time there's a CD. And these are the compilation of the songs, and one of them on there was "You Can Thank Dixie."
Oh yeah.
And he had sent this thing to Randy and asked him, and Randy likes Clint. I mean, I love Clint too, man. He's a great guy. I mean, I still have a strong feeling about all those people in a good way. He said, "Man, do you think?" He asked Randy, "Would you be interested in maybe singing with this kid? I mean, just doing some lines, a song he wrote, and I think it would work." But again, I know you don't normally do things, but if you would, it'd be cool. Randy liked it. He liked Jake's voice. He liked the the team that we were with at the time, and so sure enough, he said, "Let's go up there and sing on this song for this kid." And I'd also gotten a copy of it, so I'd heard the songs on that first disc too, even though it hadn't been released yet. And I liked it. I thought, this guy's got a good voice, man. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know where he was from. I didn't know anything. I thought, well, whatever. But I knew he was signed to our group, if you will. So, man, we go up there and go in the studio, and Randy gets in the booth with him. I know Jake had to have been nervous. I know he was nervous as a cat, son. So Randy gets in the booth with him, and he sings. And that's when you hear that song on Jake's album, "You Can Thank Dixie," which is really a good song.
It is.
And Randy does his part. They're doing it right there, like you and I are sitting here. They wasn't, okay, I'm going to do my part, then I'm going to come in there and I'm going to sing. You sing your part, and then when I'll come in there and sing my part, and then we'll overdub it and get it up. No, he was right there. Maybe it's right there like that.
Yeah.
And singing in my head. And I know, especially knowing Jake, I know Jake had to have been like, I'm surprised to get him to sing the thing. And then after it was all done, he had to go. It's funny, we drove back to Alabama. I drove Randy back to Alabama because we were done. And Jake, he ended up going to the emergency room, complaining of kidney stones or stomach pains or something.
Oh.
And I know for a fact it had everything to do with getting in that booth with this legend and who he looked up to and everybody else in the world, and singing like this with a guy that's like, oh my God, I'm in here with a Hall of Famer, and I just hope I don't screw this up. But what you hear, that's the way Randy did his stuff. He'd been in the studio, man. The band, he did his vocals to live. He did them live to track. Rarely did he'll sing with it 2 or 3 times with the band.
Yeah.
And they laid it down that way, and then Teddy would come in and later, and then they'd add the parts and the harmonies and tweak the band, and Teddy will work. Teddy will work in the studio, buddy. I mean, he asks the band. He gets after it. But Randy, he didn't want to go in and re-sing over and over and over again to a track. He always felt, I believe I'm speaking for him like he's here, but I've always felt like he wanted to do it while he had it where he felt like it needed to be. Yeah. Not that he wouldn't fix something or do it a little differently the next time. And after band 2 or 3 takes, he's done. And then it was always good. It wasn't like can we do that another 15 times? No, it was, and that was it.
Man, Randy Owen could have been the male vocalist of the year every year. Just if he had it. I mean, his voice is so distinctive and so good.
Yes. And I think there was efforts from Unknown Parts that was trying to separate him from early on from the rest of the guys. Hey, look, man, you could be that guy, and these guys could be your backup band. Yeah. And they said, no, that ain't happening. You can forget that. That ain't ever going to happen, man. And I will tell you too, while we're on his namesake for a minute, that what he's done for the kids of St. Jude Children's Research Hospital is amazing. We went over to hear Danny Thomas speak in Atlanta, Georgia, upon the invitation of Rhubarb Jones. And Rhubarb was just knocked out. And he had invited Danny to come speak on behalf of St. Jude. And Rhubarb is a Hall of Fame DJ. He's passed now. One of Randy's best friends ever. Randy still talks about him in concerts. They were classmates at Jack State, and Rhubarb was on the radio. He was You know, he was that guy. And Piedmont and around. And so anyway, now he's in Atlanta. He's moved up to the big time over in Atlanta. And so we went doing mornings and went over. And so he had asked Randy if he'd come by. So we did. We drove over there, and Danny spoke. And, man, it was amazing. And this was not like he's in some Bridgestone arena. I mean, it was a ballroom, but it was a small. I bet there was 200 people there. There may not have been that many. And so when it was all over, Danny came up to Randy, and Randy introduced himself, and rubarbs, he's right there, and he just, it's Randy Owen, and Danny knew who he was. He said, and so Danny told Randy, Danny Thomas told Randy, he said, I would really like to see you do something to get your people involved in what we're doing. Your people meaning country music, the industry. And then he got sick. He was supposed to address the country radio seminar. He was supposed to address it and basically push his agenda out there, say, what can we do in your industry to help with this hospital, with help these kids? He got sick, couldn't do it. And they asked Randy if he would take his spot. And he did. He addressed the radio seminar, same one that years earlier, that they played the New Faces Showcase, that part of that whole agenda. And he did, man. And so from there, it was wobbly at first, I'm not going to lie. But it picked up steam little by little. Once we realized that you had to put this back in the hands of individual country radio stations. Yeah. You can't do it as a mass-produced satellite deal, which we did. That's what we did. We had no time left. We did it, and it had to be done quick, so we did it. And that it was okay. A lot of artists got involved in it, was sending in vignettes and whatever, and then they would mix in their songs with that, and it sounded like it was a live broadcast, but it was satellite and whatever, but it was okay. But it didn't ring the bell. It wasn't what we were looking for. But again, we had to do it. It was put together really quick. It was fast, and so. But I was again trying to follow up on Danny's dream, if you will. Yeah. So we got that done, and then the board at St. Jude, they were ready to can it, man. It's like, you know what, this is not really, and I've been told this by a gentleman who's no longer with us, but he was heading the thing for St. Jude, Dave McKee, that's his name. Dave had never been involved really with radio, not per se. I mean, back then, it was bike-a-thons, math-a-thons, thon-a-thon, but they had never, and it wasn't Jerry Lewis's telethon. It had never been. Now, granted, there were stations supporting St. Jude, and they were doing their own things, country radio stations, but nobody had ever done anything like this, not on this magnitude, nothing this big. And so once we got a few key radio people, programmers from different parts of the United States involved, and they signed off on it, and it wasn't easy. It was not easy to get it done because it's different, man. You're going to give us maybe a weekend of your broadcast time to sit here and basically promote this one hospital. And a lot of them had their own hospitals locally, whether it was Birmingham Children's Hospital, Texas. I mean, there's a lot of associations that were already there. And we weren't trying to compete with anybody. We were just trying to advance the cause of St. Jude Children's Research. That's what it was all about, the hospital. And, man, one thing led to another, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the artist then got really involved in it. Joe Galani was very instrumental in promoting it from within the industry, getting his fellow leaders, whether it's the record label presidents or whomever, radio beginning to really they got into it. Yeah. And then that spread like wildfire. It just got bigger. And then one thing led to another, and it's the largest in history, the largest single radio, as I understand it, the single ongoing radio charitable event ever. And that little idea that was about to be thrown in the garbage has raised over $1 billion with a B dollars for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
Amazing.
And all the lives it's touched, man, and it is amazing. And right here, QSB does it every year, and they do a great job with it. That's just here, and then it's all over the country, and it's an amazing. And that started in 1989 was when we had the first one, and here we are, 30-something years later, and it's still kicking. And that's something. And see, that's something that has nothing to do. Well, it does, but it's not getting on stage and singing, Lady Down on Love. This is a whole, yes, there's a vehicle that you utilize to do that. But man, I'm sure he will tell you between Jacksonville State and St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, I would have to tell you that those are two of the most important things I think that he has lent his name to, in addition to the new Randy Owen Rock Center down there, which is unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. I've seen video and pictures of it.
It's going to be
state of the art.
And I will say this, I don't know when this will come out, if it ever does, but
it'll be out.
If
can't hide from it now.
No, when the documentary was done for the unveiling of the Randy Owen Performing Arts Center at Jacksonville State, and they didn't have anything like that there. It's beautiful. It's a magnificent facility. The documentary that was filmed in conjunction with that about basically Randy's story and his relationship with Jacksonville State. That's going to be, I think it's going to be on Alabama Public Television. I've been told by some of the people that would know this, that put it all together. I think it's coming up in August soon, and they're going to start promoting it in some form of press releases or whatever. And if you need to watch this, it is one of the most amazing things I've seen, and like you and everybody listening, there have been a lot of documentaries that have been done and seen in I mean, so many ways, so many approaches, times, whatever. This is a good one, son. I mean, it's really, really good. And I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't this. It far, far, far went beyond. It's not just about Randy and going to Jack State, or it's about this area. It's about the June Jams. It's about Alabama. It's about some of the stories that we've talked about. It's about his perseverance, about growing up here, his sticking it out, his not going to Myrtle Beach when the band went to the Bowery for the first time because he had another semester of Jack State to complete to get his degree. So he didn't go. He joined them later because that was important to him. Yeah. And all the work he's done since with Jack State, man, on the board, but lending not only his name, but his time to it and enhancing it and being involved in so many of the things there. And my daughter Jordan went to Jack State, and it's a great school, man. And the longer, when the tornadoes came through, and it came right through there, and it tore up a lot of stuff there, they did a concert there at the football stadium and raised money, not only for that, but for the area there. And then, again, getting back to things like whether it's the June Jam, that's a whole nother world. We could talk about that for a week. Yeah. Those concerts that we did for 16 years, man, and all the money that was raised and put back in, 70,000 people here in this little town at one time. The whole community was involved. Sock mills were booming, and they were all involved, and we had everybody, man. It was softball games, golf tournaments, fishing tournaments, concert. It was a week of just solid activities, and the things that went with that, and the end result was money that was generated, that was pushed back out into the community, to the state, the region. Everything from rescue squads to volunteer fire departments to Randy set up a scholarship fund for kids to go to Northeast Community College. So that gave them a 2-year start. Whether they went on beyond that, they had an opportunity to have a college education. Yeah. And he set it up. That was his idea. And these kids would come in here, man, and he interviewed them all. Why do you want to? Why? What do you? And a lot of them needed it, man. A lot of them needed it, and that's why they got the deal. But again, it gets back to that, So, and then when we were, when in 2011, when those tornadoes came ripping through here, and I mean, I don't know how many was in the state that day, like 30-something. It was all over the state of Alabama, and a lot of them came right through here.
Yep.
I think we lost 30 people right up on the mountain up here. It was horrendous, terrible.
Yeah.
And then what happens? Not long after that, Birmingham, Alabama, Bama Rising concert at the Coliseum in Birmingham, and man, Little Big Town, Jake. I mean, here again, all these artists came in. Luke Bryan, I think, was there. They came in to perform for a cause that didn't really touch them directly, a lot of them. But it meant something to Alabama, and Alabama meant something to them.
That's right.
And, of course, people, and, of course, the tragedy of it all. But so, anyway, man, there's more to it. There's a lot of – it's not just, hey, okay, let's go up there and plug in, play, get the check, and get out of here. It's never worked that way for them, and it never will. And I'm, like I said, man, I'm just proud to have been a part of it so I can at least share the story. If nothing else, and I think probably 99% of it's correct. I might forget stuff. Oh, no, remember? No, I forgot about that. But I'm honored to be able to at least remember the days and how a lot of it came to be. Because honestly, there's not a lot of us around, man, that can tell that story. I mean, I'm old. I'm 75 years old. We're all old, buddy. We're getting there, but it's you got to leave it. You know, like pass it on down, man. You got to leave something on the ground, son. You got to leave it behind, you know. And I'm honored to be able to sit here and just talk to you about it. And I can ramble on for a month, you know, because it's easy.
Yeah.
It's easy for me. Well, number one,
it's been your life.
I was in radio, so that made it pretty. I'm not shy about it, you know, but. It is my life. It's my family's life. My kids grew up here. They went to school here. They were raised here. Two of them still live here. Jordan's in Oxford. She's not far away, and Parker's in Nashville. I mean, it's just they played sports here, man. I've said this before, and I think anybody that has traveled a lot will say the same. It's not like some grand reveal or anything, but I have been blessed. If I wrote a song, The Blessings, I have been blessed to have had this opportunity in my life. I don't know where my life would have gone. I don't know what direction it would have taken. I have no clue, do not know. But when I came to work with this group, I will tell you this, it changed my life. It has made a massive impact on me. And I don't know what like I said, I don't know, maybe, I don't know what I would have done. I didn't think about it. But when you travel as much as we have traveled, and we've traveled a lot, you see a lot of places, and you're privileged to be able to see things that a kid like myself and these guys, whether you're in a cotton patch up here on Lookout Mountain or in a back of field in Horry County, South Carolina, as a kid, man, this is stuff you read about in geography books, when there was geography. Oh, that's the Golden Gate Bridge. Oh, that's Mount Rushmore. Wow, that's the Grand Canyon. That's the Brooklyn. That's this. That's Texas. Wow, look at that. You know, that's the face of the moon. I'd have never had that opportunity. Never would have had that opportunity. And so the blessings of being able to have done that and see things I would have never, ever, ever had the opportunity to do is I can't put a price. I can't express it properly. But I will also tell you that when you travel as much as we did and do, and you go to these places, magnificent, see all these wonderful things, damn, it's good to come home.
Yeah.
Because you also see things out there that you are so glad that you don't deal with on a daily basis. You don't want to live in this place that's got all this traffic or this whatever's going on, or it's just cold. You know, I am, what? Minneapolis. But it provided the vehicle to get us there and to do what we do. But I sure love, you know, my home's in Alabama. I grew up in South Carolina. That's always going to be in there, man. You don't ever turn that loose. But my home's in Alabama, and it has been since 1981. So January of 1982, first, of course, but and I still don't. I thank God. Obviously, I know that's a popular thing for everybody to do that now. Oh, first of all, thank God. I hope they mean it.
I do too.
I do. I know for a fact I mean it, and I do thank God because I shouldn't even be here having this conversation with you right now. There were a couple of times in my life, I'm telling you straight up, I was gone, son. I mean, no fault of my own, but bad. I mean, it was bad. And when I was a little kid. So I know that. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I think we all have those memories, but I know for a fact, good Lord had his hand on old Greg Fowler, son, or I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you about Alabama or anything else for that matter. But again, just blessed. Blessed to be around people that I love. I've worked with off and on. It's funny, I took a 13-year, as I said, hiatus with Jake Owen, and I'm back with these guys since 2022, and I feel like I never left. Yeah. I still lived here. I didn't move. Our families still saw each other. I saw the guys. I'd go to a show every now and then, but I always felt like I was still locked in. It's almost like you once you've played on the team, there may be teams come after you, but you still carry that. You got that letter jacket, baby. They ain't gonna take that away from you. But that's been fun. I want to. There's something too. I need to mention and will mention. And Teddy had said this early on when I came down. I wasn't even working with the band then, but we were doing some things together. Interviews and stuff. And he rode me around Fort Payne. I'd never been to Fort Payne until this time, and he rode me around. This was before I ever came to work for him. I was invited here, and I did a little radio thing. I recorded all of it. I wish I still had it. It's somewhere. I just can't find it. It was pretty good, actually. But he told me, he said, getting back to coming home, he said, yeah, he said, we were gone. This was when they first went on the road after getting signed. He said, I think we were gone 300 days last year. And he said, but while you're gone, the world doesn't stop here at home. He said, it's a credit and a tribute to our wives that keep things going here at home. And I can attest to that, whether it was with my kids growing up, whether it was PTA meetings or schoolwork or church or all the things that are necessary in a kid's life, I think, as a proper upbringing, especially if you've got two parents and one of them is out there working, he's just not able to be there, that the other person, and in this case, our wives did a phenomenal job of just keeping things on track, man. Because, we were out doing what we needed to do to make money, to provide financially. And also, when we came home, I know, speaking for myself and others too, that we dove back into it, into the family life, because you didn't have much time. Whether it was ball games or whatever you could do or events with your kids, we did it because we knew that in a week or 2 or 3 days we were gone again, and we may be gone for another 6 weeks in the summer, because that's when the fair circuit. That's when you got to go out and hit the fair circuit. And once you get past west of the Mississippi, you ain't coming back for a while. You got to load them all up, go all the way to the West Coast, and then hopefully you get back as quick as you can without making too many stops on the way back. But again, that was the business. That's how it's done. But yeah, hats off to my wife Shirley, and then of course Linda and Kelly and Jeff. I mean, we had a good base at home.
Yeah,
and then I know Randy especially was so involved with his kids' sports, and whether it was Heath baseball or football, or Allison playing basketball, or whatever. It didn't matter. Whatever was going on, it was a big deal to be here to be a part of that, to support that, to encourage that. And I think we did a pretty good job considering, the amount of time we had to do it in. I really do. I don't really feel like that we kicked that can to the curb,
Yeah.
And I know now, and even then too with Randy, and Teddy was in the cattle business. He still is.
Yeah.
But at the time, they were all involved in primarily in dealing with Pole Hereford cattle, and Randy still is. And Randa, she picked that gene up, buddy. She's carried that well, and she and her husband John now have done a fantastic job of carrying on Randy's tradition of Tennessee River music and the industry, the cattle program they have out there. And now, now Harper, who's Randa's daughter and John's daughter, Randy's granddaughter, now she's picked up Randa's role, and in fact, they're showing cattle right now. I think Wisconsin or someplace. And that was always part of it too. It was funny. We'd always try to book in the state fairs, if it was possible. And I mean like Wisconsin, I'm talking about the big boys, whether it was Kansas, wherever it was, we played them all anyway. We'd be booked on the fair, and it would often be the same time that the cattle shows were going on at the fairs. And man, so many times, Indiana, wherever it was, Illinois, Missouri, we would often try to Randy would encourage, if we're going to play let's say the Indiana State Fair, that's when they were going to be showing the Pole Herefords up there. And so in the afternoon, I'd go with him a lot of times. We'd sit up there in the stands while they're judging his cattle, and then just a few hours later, he's going to be up there playing in front of 15,000, 16,000 people at the concert that night. So again, that's part of it. It was trying to do what you could to tie in what you were available and had the opportunity to do with what you were doing. Trying to make the best of all of it.
I can't imagine too during that time how y'all had time to write songs at all with all that crap going on.
Didn't really, not a lot, because it was go, man. It was go. And that gets back to what I was, not that you didn't stop writing, but you didn't, during that period of time, I mean, it was, you hardly had time to take a shower, much less anything else, but it's like the train that's on the track, and it's at full speed, buddy. It can't stop. It can't stop for a car. It's in the middle of the cross. It's got to go. And I think it was, but plus, and again, we were time for sure. But we were also getting so many of these great songs from these great songwriters, Dave Logg, Roll On. I mean, just 40-hour week. I mean, these songs were being written that why would you not want to cut that? You know what I mean? You couldn't not pass them up. And as I said, though, there were a lot of songs that were pitched that were big hits for other artists that just didn't quite fit what they were doing. But we never, ever, the band never, ever went into a recording session thinking, all right, we need 3 singles, all right? And then we're going to put, 8, 9 more on here. There's going to be good songs. We got a lot to choose from, but they're probably not going to be singles, so let's don't beat ourselves to death over it. Oh, no. Every song that they recorded, and I know I was there at Music Mill when they're in there recording. Like I said, I was joined at the hip pretty much anyway. Every single song that was picked, that they selected, that they elected to cut out of 11 or 12, or maybe you cut 15 or what. We never wanted to cut more than was really needed, because then you got songs laying around that someday somebody, oh, you know what? Now we're going to package this.
Yep.
They kept it pretty close to if they're going to cut 12 songs, they may record 13. You know what I mean? Or put 12 on an album. And so that's what they did, man. And they would go in there and they would take every bit of time necessary to make sure everything was just perfectly done to make that song a single. whether it was ever going to be one or not. It didn't matter. It was treated like a single. And I say perfectly, I don't mean perfectly in the sense of how it's played perfectly or sung perfectly, because there had to be an edge to it. Yeah. You could make a perfect song, but it doesn't mean it's a perfect song. It still had to have that ingredient, that taste, that touch, that whatever it is that these guys put on it. And it's other artists the same. I know, I get that too. But I'm speaking specifically of the group Alabama, man. And that's the way it was. That's the way it was. I mean, we'd spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours in the studio at Music Mill. Now, Randy would dutifully do his stuff, kill it, and then he's pretty much done. Not done with it, but he can turn it over to Teddy to work on the parts, and get Jeff wrangled up and get him in there to sing, and then he would come back and fix whatever. But that was pretty much how it was done. And Harold Shedd, to his credit, man, he was great as a producer. He went on to produce, Billy Ray Cyrus, Shania Twain, I mean, so many other people too. But I was Alabama's co-producer, and he was. What I love about Harold, he was not an in-your-face producer. No, what you need to do? No, we just go here and do this. No, you need to. No, he pretty much let them have it. And just look, boys, you know what you're doing. And he was there. He would offer he was there. Don't get me wrong, and he stayed with it, but he let them be Alabama. He didn't try to turn whatever the song was at any given time into something that they themselves didn't present the way they wanted it done.
Yeah.
And again, because you know what? You can do whatever you want to in that studio, but they got to do this boy live. If they're going to do it here, they're going to be doing it out there somewhere on stage. And it had to fit it had to check all the boxes. But I always thought Harold was really cool. He was at the Randy Owen Rock Center deal at Jack State the other night, and I swear to God, he looks like he did it. He looked like he did in the '80s. He's a great guy. Bremen, Georgia's own Harold Shedd. Harold, if you hear this, we love you, buddy. We truly do.
I actually think I took a piss beside him one time.
You need to interview him, buddy. There's an interview. There's an interview. Teddy can hook you up. He's got his phone number.
Yeah, that'd be good.
He's legendary, man.
He is.
He's he's a guy that, whether you like Achy Breaky Heart or not, Harold produced it.
And that was
Shania Twain stuff. Just hit after hit after hit after hit. KT Oslin, Alabama. It was, I don't know. It was just, and getting back to the group thing. Restless Heart. They opened for us a lot. It was never. Okay, we're a band. You guys, we need a male and a female, and we did that. Like I said, with Clint and Lori.
Yeah.
But again, we had Charlie Daniels and the Bellamy Brothers.
Yeah.
So it was all over the place. It was all over. It was who that we felt fit, man. Who do Alabama fans want to come see, and who do Charlie Daniels fans want to come see? Who do the Bellamy's fans want to come see?
Some of them early days too. I know y'all did some stuff with Waylon.
Oh yeah.
And with Hank Jr.
Yeah.
And them were some
the
big shows.
Boys.
Oh yeah.
It was. I think looking back on some of my literature from the June Jam era, there's 16 of those big boys. Over 100 different artists played it, and free. I think a couple of them needed some money, but for the most part, we not only had the usual suspects like Vince Gill and Charlie and Clint Black and just on and on and on. Toby Keith. It just goes on. Garth Brooks and all that. But man, you had Wayne Newton came and played the thing with his full orchestra. It was just like nuts. Dolly did it, but it was like, and they came. You couldn't even fly in. We had one hotel, two max. Alan Jackson. I think Alan played it 3 times, and one of the reasons we stopped doing it was because and this is me speaking now. I think it kind of ran its course. I think at that time, after doing it for 16 years, and these artists coming year after year after year after year, it had nothing to do with the fans. I mean, that had nothing to do with it. I think we were tired in a way, just tired, man. And it was like, okay, but mainly, in my opinion, at this time, late in around 96, 95, the last one we did in 97, but man, now you've got Riverbend in Chattanooga, you got Riverfest in Gadsden, you got whatever it is in Birmingham, you got all of a sudden now all around us.
That's right.
All around us, these concerts were popping up, and these same guys that, like Vince Gill, for example, if he can make $100,000 and go to Chattanooga. And yet he's been here 3 times. He's done it for free and played in the golf tournament and the softball game and all this other stuff. Maybe we've pushed this rope long. Maybe it's time to just take a break. We never did it as we're never going to do another June Jam. That wasn't the idea. It was like let's just take a break from this. Let it kind of like the run for the Roses on the 19 number ones and the 21 record. And I was like, okay, that's great. Yeah, we got this record, and that's fantastic. And it was a lot of work went into that, from the album standpoint, from the record label standpoint, the band standpoint, the radio stations. I mean, it took a lot to get that done. It was a big lot. A lot of things had to happen to make all that work. But there was a point. It was like, okay, well, all right, can we just step back a minute, because it was again, if you weren't working, but man, we were hitting 200 shows a year, and that didn't include getting there and getting home.
Right,
that meant that we were
bus.
bussing, and then we got the plane later, and that made a big difference. We were able to fly and get in and out of here, and when you get socked in with the fog out here at the airport. But it was what a ride. And I say I'm not on the road anymore. I got an office job now, which I love, and I deal with the museum and songwriter showcase, and when we do the reprisals of the jam, I'm involved in all that stuff, of course, and every day is different. I love it. I love it's kind of like I tell people, I'm like a homicide detective in New York City that finally got a desk job. I'm off the streets, but I got a desk job. But I admire the tenacity, the determination, the talent, obviously, of what Randy and Teddy continued to do, and Jeff, of course, before he passed. But man, that legacy it's always going to be there, long after we're gone. That Alabama trademark we talked about, that baby's still going to be hanging somewhere.
Oh yeah, forever.
Yeah.
And two, thank you for what you do for the Songwriter Showcase.
I love it.
I went to one of those,
Love it.
I think in 2011, 2012, and it was Frank Myers.
Yeah, Frank's been here several times.
I think Stephen Dale Jones was with
Yeah.
me. I went to that when I was in the back, and I was going in the dressing room or the whatever it was, the green room or whatever, it was in the city auditorium over here.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy was coming out, and he just stopped and looked at me. And he was thinking, I could tell he was thinking, I seen you somewhere. He didn't say nothing.
Oh, well, yeah.
And then I walked in, and then we all, John Kroll and Brody Kroll and everybody was there.
Yeah.
And we all took a group picture together. And Randy stood right behind me and put his thumb. He's put his thumb right here, and like I could feel his breath.
Yeah.
And he said, whisper to
There it is. There it is.
Right in my ear.
There it
feel
is.
His little chin hair on my ear. And just pushing on a nerve.
Oh, yeah. He'll do that every now and then. He'll get you in the neck, too, every now and then.
He didn't get my neck. He got me right.
He'll get you. You got to watch him.
I said, man, that's pretty strong. Or no, I said, man, you hit a nerve or something like that. And he said, yeah, my mom always told me I had a pretty strong grip. Now, what do you do?
Yeah. No, well, he and Teddy have been driving that boat for a long time, especially our songwriter stuff. And I was fortunate enough to kind of weave into it, and it's become really a lot of what I do now. But man, Lee Thomas Miller, and people who listen to this that know music, know songwriters, you know who he is. And I will tell you, he's president of the Nashville Songwriters Association. great friend. He's been here several times at our songwriter showcases, and he was very instrumental last year and this year in helping us to wrangle up some of the guys that we really wanted to come and play this event. And they don't charge, they come free. These writers come free, and they're to hear Tony Lane, Tony Lane sing "Letter from Home" or Tim Nichols, "Live Like You Were Dying."
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man. I mean, really. And then, of course, Randy and Teddy are up there too. They're rattling off little songs like "Oh, My Home's in Alabama" and "Tennessee River" and the Mountain Music and "Laid It Down on Love," and then you've got just the young writers. We had 2 nights. We had a Friday and a Saturday night. We did that last year, and the band too. Alabama's touring band backs up the writers, and of course Randy and Teddy as well. And it's amazing, man. We had Lalo Guzman, Johnny Clausen, and Josh Dorr. They're younger guys. They wrote Texas for Blake Shelton, and a bunch of other stuff, man. In fact, Johnny Clausen has Kenny Chesney's new single just off his, and the album's not even been released yet. It's going to be released next month. I think it is September or whatever. And it's Silver Sands Marina, and it's a true story. Again, it's a songwriter. Yeah. It's at a little marina that they were out on a songwriting deal one day, and up in New Hampshire is where it is. It's a real place. And they weren't coming up with it. Nothing, dude. It was, as a writer, sometimes you're going to hit that wall, son.
Oh, yeah.
You can forget it. I don't care. It ain't happening. You can might as well go fishing or something. And they had nothing going on that day. And Clausen told the story that night at Songwriter, our songwriter. And he said, man, nothing. We said, well, you know what? He said it was a miserable day, just rainy, ugly. And he said, where we're staying was this little, he said, it was pretty much as about as basic a place as you could get. And he said, it's Silver Sands Marina. And he said, we're at a little hotel there. And he said, well, we just write about this. Let's forget trying to write some epic. Let's just write about this. We ain't doing anything else. And they did. And it's the title cut of Kenny's new album, and it's his single. I mean, and they did it. They debuted it. In fact, he did it here that Friday night of our songwriters, the 19th of June. I remember that. And he said, look, y'all, this was Clausen said, listen, who wrote it. He said, we're going to play you something. I am. And he said, don't tell anything. He said, because if the stars line up, I believe this is going to be Kenny Chesney's single, and I think it's coming out next week. But don't record all of it. And so, I mean, and and then they did Texas, Shelton's song, big #1. Crowd just went nuts. I mean, these guys, they're young, man. And then, of course, the Saturday night we had, Tony Lane and Tim and Eric Rutan, and man, they've all written. So Randy said, he told me after it was over, he said, man, Randy, I'm going to tell you what, buddy. He and Teddy both, but Randy especially, because he did multiple events. He was here for Teddy Gentry's Singing with the Stars event, which, by the way, the Children's Advocacy Center and Amber McPherson do a fantastic job with the circumstances that they deal with. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. It's just the horrendous, the stories they hear, but the things they do, and the love and effort that goes into that, and and of course the team of people that they have in their group, whether it's city leaders or sheriff's department, whoever. I couldn't do it. I could not every day go to work and listen to some of the most horrific stories you can imagine. Could not do it. But anyway, they do the Singing with the Stars, and that raises a lot of money it helps with these kids from high schools around here. They come and perform in a talent contest, and Teddy's been a part of that for 11 years, man. He's been a very big part of that.
Yeah.
And that benefits the CAC. But, it's... There's more. There's a lot of fingers that reach out and touch someone, if you will. Mm-hmm. But to have to be affiliated and associated with good people doing good things is a good thing.
Yeah,
it really is. And they all have their causes and that they support and things that they do. As I said, Randy is certainly with not only Jack State and him being an alumni there and St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and Teddy with the CAC. I mean, it's like they don't have to do any of this.
Yeah.
They do it because they want to, because it means something,
Yeah.
But
that's right, and they've done a lot.
But the songwriter thing is it's an amazing. It's absolutely. I encourage anybody. We're gonna do it again next year. I don't know who we got. We don't ever die. We kind of get that together around the first of the year. And the reason that Tony Lane has been here before, and Tim Nichols has been here before, but it's been a long time ago since they've been here. These other guys, brand new, never been here before, and I think everybody's amazed when they come here and they see not only Fort Payne and what we have here, but also to get on that stage with Hall of Famers and the touring band, and they're up there with them on a guitar or a keyboard, and they're swapping stories and lines and song, and they're just sitting there. You'll see them a lot of times. They're just, if Randy's performing or Teddy, they forget that they become a fan. Not they aren't anyway, or they'll turn around and watch the band. They'll be, if somebody else is doing it maybe whether it's Randy or Teddy and they're using the band stuff they do anyway, maybe so-and-so sent a song in and they wanted the band to learn, they'll just sit, if the guy's not singing it, the other guys are they're going to be watching the band, and they all say the same thing when they leave. That's amazing. That was amazing. And it's a big deal, and people enjoy it, and I love it. I think it's great that, because people, it's gotten a lot bigger over the years. Songwriter events, a lot bigger than even when we started it in back in '89 with St. Jude, when we started doing it there and here a little later in the early '90s. It's gotten way bigger, but as far as notoriety for the writers, but man, to see people who aren't in this business, who know these songs, who no matter who cut it, to hear the writer get up there and do it and tell the story behind it. It's not just, okay, here's one I wrote. No, man, you tell the story about how this even come up. How did that happen? How did this, it really, people are like, wow, this is different. This is not going to an amphitheater somewhere. This is a whole nother ball game here. And I love it. I'm just honored to be a part of that, dude. That's special to me, really. And I hope we can continue to do that, whether we do. See, when we did the jams, even when they stopped doing June jams, when we stopped doing them in '97, fan appreciation continued. It was like June Jam Week, but it's Fan Appreciation Week. That was all part of it. And even after the jam was discontinued, the fan appreciation activities continued on.
Yeah.
And the band would play. They'd play right here in the back. They'd full band. And we'd do the songwriter thing. And there were other events that were around it too. So even though the jam stopped, and then we did it a couple of times, and we'll see where that goes down the road, the fan appreciation continued. And part of that is these people coming to Fort Payne to still show up our boys a little love and also to share some memories, man.
Yeah.
And so we continue to do a lot of the things that were done long ago, but aren't necessarily done in the same fashion.
Think there'll be any more June jams? I
don't know. Honestly, I don't. We'll see. I didn't know we were going to be any more after '97, but we did a couple. And it's touring. I mean, you're in the business, so you know the deal. If you look around how many outdoor concerts there are and how many have kind of gone by the wayside, whether it's because of weather, because of cost, it is expensive, even with sponsorships, to do a major outdoor concert. Always has been. And now, too, and artists, rightfully so, they should get paid. I mean, that's what you do. If you're going to be a car mechanic, you need to get paid for working on somebody's car.
Right.
And even though we have artists that like, I'll give you Jamie Johnson, for example, and Luke, and all these people that came to support Randy's event at Jack State. They don't always charge you to be there. They do it because they want to do it. They want to do it for whoever they're doing it for. I could be anybody.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you something, buddy. When you bring a band in, and they got their costs, salaries, crew, buses, trucks, equipment, staging, lighting, facilities, fencing, on and on, security, on and on and on. There is a high dollar price tag to that.
Yeah.
And if you're doing an event outdoors, you're at the mercy of the weather.
Yeah.
Because they're in the summertime anyway. I mean, you don't have many in the middle of winter.
Right.
And what happens? Here comes a tornadic activity, or clear it out. Everybody's got to go. Well, it's rained out. It's the same thing that happened with Rock the South, man. They remember it was in Coleman for all these years. They moved it to Decatur, and they had all that figured out. Well, they didn't really, because they have a drainage problem over there. Yeah. And it just so happened we got barraged with rain leading up to Rock the South, man. And they had it together, but it was, the fields were not proper. They couldn't do it. It was like, sorry, we can't do it. So now they're going to do it in the fall, you know. But they had to, but see, again, it's an outdoor event. And anytime, if you're indoors, if it's an amphitheater or an arena, you're in pretty good shape. But you do something outdoors in the summertime and the weather hurt us on our last one. The year before, the first one we did in 2023, I guess 2023, yeah. Our comeback at the fairgrounds, they were great to work with. Eric Dudash and those folks out there, fantastic. They gave it here. It's your place to do it. And of course, we contributed back to the VFW for use of the facility. We kept it tied up for a week, you know. But that first one in 2023, it was perfect. Well, it was hot. Man, it was hot. It was hot, but it was perfect. The weather was perfect.
Yeah.
And then in 2024, we came back and did it again. Great lineup, had everything. And man, it rained. It was cold. It was miserable. And when you're doing an outdoor event, I can speak on this from experience. When you're doing, I don't care who's doing it. When you're doing an outdoor event and it's a GA ticket, meaning that you're not buying a reserve ticket. Yeah. You can show up 30 minutes before the show starts and you're good. You might be further back from the stage, but you're into the show. And man, it got cold and it rained and it was cold and it just people didn't come. I should say people didn't come. We had a great turnout, but it wasn't what we had hoped for. Yeah. And they'll tell you, people who didn't come, we'll say a lot of them will tell you that, man, the weather was just awful. It's funny because we learned a lot from the return of the Jam in 2023. So we applied that to 2024 for the setup, the facility, so many things. And we were way ahead. But we weren't. The rain got us, man, and not only was it rain, and like I said, it was cold. I think it was that night. I think it was after it was over. I think, dude, it was like 40 something. It was cold. I mean, cold, and it took a toll. We sold a lot of beer, and they'd never done that at the fairgrounds before. They gave us, we'll let you. It's Alabama, and so we did. And whether you like to drink beer or not, if you're going to a concert outdoors in the summertime, and if you do drink beer, you're going to drink some beer. Yeah. And we did. We sold a lot of it. Come 2024, it's cold, it's raining. We didn't sell a lot of beer, but we could have sold a lot of hot chocolate. Now you think about that. Hey, y'all got any coffee or hot chocolate back there? No, not really. We didn't really plan on that, you know. But will there be another one? I don't know. Who knows? There's never say never, right? Is that what the old the term for it is? I don't know. As I said, I didn't know we'd do one, you know, then, but we did, and that was announced right here in this room. Randy decided, and Teddy, they got together and we talked about it. We'd been talking about it, and Randy said, "Well, let's do it." And I mean, there was no plan, dude. It was like we knew we had a location. If we were going to do one, it would be the fair. But we didn't have we'd have art, we'd have nothing. And this is the funny part. This is what I love about this band too. In this business in a way. Alabama was going to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award that night at the Chamber of Commerce, Fort Payne Chamber of Commerce dinner. We made the decision, that was going to happen 7 o'clock, whatever. We made the decision, the band made the decision, and Tony Conway was here, management, and I was, our little circle here, to announce the return of the June Jam. We decided at 4 o'clock and announced it that night at the chamber. There was no press release. There was no warning. There was no, hey, no. They just got up there, and when they were accepting their Lifetime Achievement Award from the Fort Payne Chamber of Commerce, Ray said, oh, by the way, we're bringing the June Jam back. And people were like, what?
I saw that video.
You know what? And we did. And it worked great. And we worked hard on it to get it done, and we did it. But if we don't do another one, we did 2 more, and that was after a hiatus of 26 years.
Oh yeah.
Whatever it was. A lot. It was a long time.
There's a lot of people happy in that first.
They were. And Jamie came, Jamie Johnson, he did our songwriter thing. He did the jam. He's done, Jake came and did it. And the Oaks, just so, it's great when artists come back to do it, because they wanted to, because they I think we might have paid some of their expense, like bus cost or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if somebody even charged for that. I think they said, eat it.
I guarantee you Jamie didn't.
No, he didn't.
Heck
no.
He has a connection through his mother, I know, with the June Jam. I've heard him talk about it.
Yeah, he's told me that story too, man. And you go ahead, tell it.
He saw, he didn't get to go,
right,
but he saw pictures.
Yeah.
Because his mama loved Alabama and bought the album, every album the day it come out.
That's right.
And he got to see all them pictures of the June Jam.
He did, and he told me in Vegas one night, we were out there for ACMs, I guess. This was when I was with Jake and in the bar. He told me, he said, oh, man, I didn't really know him enough to, at that time, to even, I knew him, of course. I didn't really know him enough to go, hey, I'm so-and-so. But I did. I wanted to introduce myself. I said, hey, man, I'm Greg Fowler. I work with Jake now, but I was with Alabama for a long time, and anyway, I really admire your song, man. I love you. It's great. You do some good things. So we got to talking, and I remember he said, "Oh man," he said, "In Alabama, man," he goes, "I won't be honest with you, man." He goes, "My mama used to go to them June Jams there, man, and she'd bring back them songbooks, man, that had all the lyrics and the notes and all in them." And he said, "Man, that's how I learned to play guitar on them Alabama songs." He said it the other night at the Rock Center, and when he did his thing, he said, "Man," he said, "Hell, man," he goes, "Alabama, these boys are in my DNA." You know how he is, like, and it's the truth. Yeah. But he told me that story. He said, "Yeah, them songbooks, man. My mom would bring them back." He said, "I learned, that's where I had to learn to play a lot of that stuff." But he's a great guy, man. He's an honest to goodness, a wonderful person, and he has been very supportive of the things that we've done. Yeah, and love him to death.
He's a big hero of mine.
He's a good one.
As far as singer and songwriter, I don't think I would have wrote songs the way I wrote them, and been brave enough to ever play them for anybody or record them or do anything, if not for him. Because he kind of, for whatever reason, the mid-2000s there, I ain't talking about In Color, just, that Lonesome Song when that one come out.
Oh, yeah.
It just, man, it was like, man, this is what we need. You know, country music, trying to bring it kind of back.
Oh yeah.
And I loved him ever since I loved him since I heard the Dollar.
Oh yeah.
When he was with I think BNA.
He's funny.
Clean shaven and all that.
Well, you know the story about that too. He was so funny. I've heard him tell it before, and I was still with Jake. I was affiliated. Alabama, we'd moved on beyond the label thing at RCA at the time. Jake was very much involved in RCA, and I'm with him at this time, and here I am at RCA against it. It never stopped for me.
Yeah.
And Jamie was there for about, I think I was there about a week. He didn't get along. There was a clash, I think, of personalities, and he was done, but it sure didn't hurt him any. And he will tell you, man, that's his story. But you know, he was living a different lifestyle in that period of time too. And hell, it's in his songs.
Yeah.
I mean, look what he wrote about. I mean, that's him being him, and
right.
But he's such a great guy. Another Jack State guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one. Riley Green, Jack State. You know, Gordon Moat, Jack State. Randy Owen, Jack State. There's something going on down there, ain't there?
Yeah. They're teaching them something.
They are. They're old marching Southerners.
Did you enjoy writing songs with Randy and Teddy?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was blessed to be there. First of all, you know, I was just blessed to be there, and whatever. You got to bring something to the table, man.
Yeah.
You can't just walk in there and go, hey man, you know. And I felt like in my own small way, I felt like I contributed to some of the stuff we did, and maybe sometimes more than others. But yeah, oh gosh, yeah, to be able to sit there. I mean, you see, we did it. We didn't. You know, like in Nashville, I could never write songs for a living. I couldn't do it. Ain't no way. Especially now, man. It's like, good luck. Period. But especially now that streaming's come along, and you know, and now there's no more mechanic. There's really, you're not. It's just and people who don't know it. But trust me, it's a lot different than it was. A lot different. Everything is watered down. I don't mean the quality of the songs, but the way you get paid, the way the songwriters are getting their just reward for creating these masterpieces. But yeah, man, it was always, we wrote in different, there was a lot of bus riding.
Yeah.
Bus riding.
Bus riding.
Yeah, there's a lot of that because, well, you got nothing else going on. And at Randy's cabin, we'd go out there in the woods, and we'd get together with old Ronnie Rogers and get out there and write. And if you didn't come up with anything, it didn't matter. Yeah. We had a damn big time. We loved it. I mean, it was, you'd laugh and maybe eat, have something to eat, but it was never, and plus you're on a bus. You may be coming from a show or going to a show, but it's night. You're sad looking moon. We wrote that at night after a show. I think it was in Buffalo, and that just came out. I think Randy said, boy, that sure is a sad looking moon up there tonight. Well, here we go. Mm-hmm. And so, how do you fall in love? That was an idea I had. I'd written a bunch of lyrics for, and it was all about my daughter Jordan. It was it just came to me like when she grows up, and how do you know when it's time? How do you know if this is the right? What do you? And Teddy, unknowns to me, in the back of the bus, he had a melody he'd been working on for a long time. It was so cool, but he had no lyrics. It was just a melody. He was playing with it on his guitar. It had almost a music box feel to it, like dee, 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 dee. And so I went back one afternoon. We were rolling somewhere. I said, "Hey man, I got an idea. I'll throw some lyrics on you and see what you think." And he was playing that little melody. And man, I'm gonna tell you what, it's amazing how things work. My lyrics, and it was structured. I'd never heard what he was doing. But it was structured in such a way with just a minor change here and there. Those lyrics fell exactly into what he was playing. I know, it's weird, crazy, but it's the truth. And so we had something framed in pretty quick because I had about 8 pages of lyrics, I guess. And we took it up to Randy, who was sitting up front watching, I'm sure, ESPN. And we ran it by him and said, let me hear that again. And this was just a guitar. We got the whole composition book out. And he said, what about right here? What if you say, how do you know when it's time to spend the rest of your life? And I thought, ball game. That's it. That's it. See, it was just that one line, and I've said this, that one line took it from being, it was a number one record for, that one line took it from being what I thought was a good song to a great song.
Yeah.
And that one line, just that, and he contributed more than that.
Yeah.
But man, when he said that, it was like me and Teddy both went, well, damn. Well, that's it. You know, there was no, well, maybe we can beat that. No, you know, in songwriting,
Yeah.
And I've written this before, and I have some things I've written about writing or whatever, and I'm very basic at it. But when, you know, if you're writing with a group of people, two or whatever, usually three especially, it comes up where you've been beating on this thing, and somebody will say that line, and everybody goes, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Or it never really is, because then you're going to try to beat that, right? But the other one is when you think you got something, or they do, and that's the respect that writers have, I think, for each other, where I don't care how many number ones you've had, you still respect the person you're writing with, because they may have a better idea than you do on a particular line.
That's right.
And you can't get pissed off about it. You just you roll with it, because that's what it is. You're collaborating here.
Yeah.
But when somebody will say, so-and-so, 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 and it sounds, and somebody will say, close, which means, but that ain't it.
Yeah.
So you keep digging.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a funny story. I don't know if Teddy may have told you this, but I got to share this since we're talking about songwriting for a minute here, and I'll leave it with this, or this part of it anyway. Ronnie Rogers and Teddy and I went down to Selma, Alabama. Teddy had a farm down there at the time, and it was big farm. He had cattle down there, and that's when he was, I think, working with starting his South Pole deal, and it was hot down there. Anyway, Selma's down below Montgomery. It's hot. And sure enough, we go down there, and we're going to write, me, Ronnie, and Teddy. Oh, Lord, we got steaks and sweet potatoes and beer, and we're gonna write us a hit, buddy. You know how it is. Well, we start off by just riding around, looking at Teddy's stuff, and killing time. We get down there, and it's getting about dark, so we're gonna write us. Let's eat. And let's cook something. Teddy, get us good beef. Teddy's and me. Oh, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
It was, and we had these sweet potatoes, and they're all in a tin full. We had all three cases of Budweiser on ice, and so we eat, and everybody's full, and all right, well, let's get on something. So somebody, what about the acting idea? What about this? Yeah, that's cool. Let's try it. We about 3 lines in, everybody's, ain't nothing. I got an idea. What if we do? I had an idea, and then you're talking about stuff, and you're writing, you're talking about whatever. It ain't got to be about the song. You just talk.
Yeah.
And so nothing. And so we finally said, all right, that's it. Everybody's tired. We're full. We already eaten, drunk about 2. Ronnie and I did. I don't think Teddy was drinking it, but we'd already killed 2 cases of Budweiser between me and him. And it was a double wide trailer right down there out in the woods in Selma on that farm. So we go to bed, go to sleep. And next morning, I felt like hell. And man, we're all piled in there, sleeping on a couch or whatever was there, a bed, whatever. And Ronnie, who I love with all my heart, God, I love Ronnie Wright. He's everything. Dixie ain't like, that's him. That's who he is.
Yeah.
He gets up and he says, damn, son. He said, I'm hungry. I said, Ronnie, I'm hungry, man. What we got? And he pops that refrigerator door up and he goes, son, there ain't nothing in here but a cold Budweiser and a sweet tater, which is what we had left over. And I started laughing. Teddy started laughing. and Teddy said, well, let's write that. And sure enough, we did. And we wrote the thing in about 20 minutes and laugh. It was snot, just laughing, carrying on. Just still half drunk. Me and Ronnie were. I know. I'm speaking my. And we wrote the thing. I bet we wrote it. Honest to goodness, if it took 20 minutes, I don't know. And it just went just like that because we were doing. We were writing it exactly from the standpoint of who we were and where we were.
Yeah.
And that double wide. I mean, the lines are in there. Woke up this morning all along. I rolled over and you were gone. Pulled the shades, looked down the drive, and you were going to my 65. And all that's left in the suite, all that's left in the refrigerator is a cold Budweiser and a sweet. And that was it. And we thought, man, that was fun. So we felt like, well, there ain't nothing ever going to come of this song, but it was fun. It was and we laughed and carried on, packed our junk up and rolled out. And sure enough, man, it gets to Joe Diffie ends up with the song. He cuts it, thought it was great, puts it on his album, and I was told by Joe that song was something they did every single night live. They did it every night, regardless. That was just a crowd favorite, and that it was on the short list of actually being a single. Because it just had that, whatever, and I think we got nudged out by a little song called John Deere Green, which I can understand that. But see, that's how that's getting back to that songwriter mode. We were done. There was nothing there, and yet we ended up getting a single out of it. For goodness sake, and not a single, but it was a bona fide album cut, and it paid pretty good. Yeah. But it was about to be a potential single, and it was written from just because here we are just fooling around. I mean, and you didn't have to think about the lines; they just came because we were. It reminded me. It's reflective. If you've seen the movie Raising Arizona, and he comes out and he's got that was it. That was the whole. That could have been the video for this song, but it was a. But again, you can sit there sometimes and sweat over one, and you can beat it to death, and you ain't ever going. And then sometimes they just fall out, man. It's like, where did that come from?
I know it is. I've had moments like that.
I'm sure you do.
It's crazy. God's just.
It is.
It has a funny sense of humor.
He has to. I'm not sure he does in my case, but things like that. But yeah, getting back to you writing with this guy, man, I'm an honored. I'm sitting there with these guys like I'm just an honor to be in the same room with them, man.
Oh yeah,
and just like we wrote, Randy, we wrote "Dancing Shagging on the Boulevard," man. That's Myrtle Beach. That's straight up. And there's not one line in that song that's not real. Every nightclub that's mentioned in there, every song title that's in there, everything in that song from start to finish is totally real. And we were somewhere, again, on a bus, and Randy had started writing this thing, and he said, Greg, I need some help with some of these clubs that were in Myrtle Beach. He said, I've got this little thing going. And he said, I'll play it for y'all a little bit. But he said, I can't remember all these clubs. He said, you were on radio down there. You know all of them. I said, all right. And he said, I think he said he had about 18 verses or something when it started. So anyway, he plays it, and he said, what about that? I said, the Castaways. Yeah. What was that one? The Electric Circus. Fat Jacks, blah. And so I knew all the clubs because I was in radio, and we advertised all of them at the same time. And so we wrote that thing. He'd already started it. He had it all figured out, but we needed to finish, put it together properly, I guess. And so we did. And we wrote that, and that was Dancing Shagging on the Boulevard, man. It went to number 2, and that was a disappointment because it was almost a number 1. We got nipped on that one. But if you were to take My Home's in Alabama, Tar Top, Dancing Shagging on the Boulevard, that's the Myrtle Beach era, and then The Fans, we wrote that. I think you could take those 4 or 5 songs, and you could that pretty much encapsulates a lot of Alabama. Not to mention, Tennessee River and and some of the others, but you could almost put the whole story together wrapped around those 4 or 5 songs.
That's true. Yeah, I always loved Dancing Shagging on the Boulevard, and hell, I even like Falling Again.
Thank you.
It's fun.
That was a good one. That was another one. We just play it. Let's play it. Make it 18 minutes long if you want to. But it was always. But we didn't always come away with fish either. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we always came away with we always came away that we had a good time because we weren't talking about a show. We weren't talking about how much is this going to pay? Are we going to do this? What time we got to fly to get to here? What time's the bus going to leave to go to? It was none of that mess, man. All that stuff was left outside, either the bus door or the cabin door or wherever we were.
Yeah.
And that was put away for a while, man. It was the creative fun side, you know. We could laugh and carry on and talk. We weren't under a schedule. We weren't, hell, I got to get this thing wrapped up in 30 minutes, you know. We got to do it, you know. And that's why I admire these guys in Nashville and girls too, man. That can go in and write with a writer's appointment.
Yeah.
Where you're blocked, you got you from 10 to 12, and then you got another appointment with somebody else. You may know them, may not know them, and you're there from 1 to 3 or 4, and then you got, if you're gonna do one more, the publisher's got you booked with so and so and so and so. They're a new artist, and they want you to write with them, and that we need you to, if you could, man, if you don't mind, if you could squeeze that in from 5 to maybe 8 o'clock, you know. And that's a day. That's like going to the office.
Yeah.
And you know, man, you know about all that stuff.
I've done those, and you know, I haven't enjoyed the majority of them.
And I think it's like, you know, we've written a bunch of stuff, and there's a lot of album cuts out there, and I could go back over them, but I don't sit there.
Yeah.
Or even the singles, I don't sit there every day. Like, oh man, I was a part of writing this or that.
Yeah.
And people ask me about it, and it comes up, and I say, "Yeah, man, we did that, and we did this, and that was great." And but was it an honor, a privilege, a pleasure, a blessing? Oh yeah, absolutely, man, absolutely. Sure. But then there's some songs that we've written that are on albums that, man, I think I could hear a certain artist, whoever that is,
yeah,
that could do this song and have a massive hit on it, I think. Not because, because we wrote it, no.
Yeah.
I just think there's certain songs, man. There's one in particular, Can't Love You Any Less. I think a country artist could do, oh, God, oh, man, that would. But again, they go on, they move on.
Yeah.
That's done. And getting back to one of the things we talked about, 2 weeks ago in this interview, is that there's everything that we cut, the band cut, whether we wrote them or not, was cut under the pretense of this has to be the same quality of anything we cut as a potential single.
Yeah.
Whether it was or not. It was not. There was no fluff, no throwaways, no, well, that's good enough. No, buddy, it didn't. And so if you go back and listen, especially to Alabama fans,
yeah,
if you go back, and I know a lot of them already know this, I'm preaching to the choir, I guess, but if you go back and just listen to those albums, just put them on, just let it roll, and listen to these songs, and you're going to go, why wasn't that a single?
Yep.
That could have been a single. What about Words at 20 Paces? That could have been a single. Oh, yeah. That Robert Burns song. What about this? What about that? I mean, because they could have been.
Yeah.
But remember, man, you got 3 to 4, and that's it. And we got another album to cut. And RCA wasn't really big, and the labels aren't. They're not going to lean on an album for it. Not then, anyway. You didn't lean on an album forever. Once you knew it was peaking, and you had that agreement or whatever your contract read or said or whatever, how many you're supposed to blah blah. You're checking the boxes, man. You're fulfilling your contract obligations, and yet you're still putting out the best songs. But we left, and other artists do too. You leave songs behind that you look at and go, man, I kind of wish we'd released that, you know. But when?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, then you put out a greatest hits album, and there's usually 2 new cuts on that nobody's heard before. And, but then you look at the greatest hits albums, it's like, wow, that's just the greatest hits.
Yeah.
What about the ones that were great but weren't the greatest, you know?
Man, just what
about you, man? Tell me about you for a minute. Let's switch gears here. How did you get started in the business of, not the business of music, but what flipped the switch for you to get doing what you do?
I've done music for a long time now, since about 2009. I've been a musician since I was about 5 when I learned to play piano. But in 2011, I think it was, we were doing a show. Me and my little band was doing a show. And David Hammonds came out, that works for Cook Sound, Jeff's studio out here. And he said, man, I heard a couple of your songs. Come by the studio sometime, play me some more, you know. Well, that led to us working together. I went out there and, you know, we hit it off. And I had written some stuff that was not that great, but he liked them anyway.
Yeah.
We did a little album out there. He introduced me to Jeff. Jeff became a friend. Jeff, ended up introducing me to Merle Haggard one night.
Wow.
Just crazy stuff, you know.
Wow.
And, just went from there, and then, you know, put out that album, put out a couple albums, or put out one more after that. Self-funded, paid for it myself and everything. Never really did much. But I will say Shooter Jennings played it on his XM radio show on Outlaw Country. And so I'm always grateful to him for that, because he had that little 2-hour slot, man. He would play it every week. So those sound exchange checks kind of came in for a while. I always loved Shooter.
Yeah.
But, man, I started doing these social media videos, and it just started taking off. And it's allowed me to be able to, you know, do this. And, well, the podcast I started, it was just pretty much doing it on Zoom in 2020 during all the COVID crap.
Oh, yeah.
And I had met some people from the professional wrestling business, other songwriters, musicians, stuff like that I just said, hey, you want to come on here and talk a little while? And graciously they did. Teddy being one of them. I think he was the 3rd episode. Helped him set up Zoom on his iPad, you know.
I hear that.
He did that, man, for me. I'm always grateful to him for that. We wrote songs together. But just, you know, one thing led to another. And I get to sit here and talk with my heroes, and it's just amazing. I don't think my music journey's over.
No.
At all. But, you know, right now this is what people need more than my music. I think they need to know the truth and the history before all this history is being rewritten, man.
Yeah.
And before it's all just rewritten, I think it's important that people know about the history of all the stuff we're talking about.
I agree. I think absolutely agree with you on that. And plus, you know, this is the music business, man. What we're doing right here is the music business.
Yeah, it is.
You know, whether you're up there picking and grinning or banging on a piano like Jerry Lee Lewis, or sitting here talking about it, it's part of it's part of the history, the fabric, the heritage, the ongoing, you know, saga of country music, or music period, man. Or like you said, whether it's wrestling or NASCAR or whatever it is, you gotta kind of preserve the past to keep the past. You know, stuff has to be put down somewhere.
That's right.
And if not, who knows? People don't know. I can't tell you about stuff that happened in the 40s in country music. I mean, I know the names, some of them, but I wasn't there. I wasn't at the Louisiana Hayride. You know, I mean, I wasn't there the night that Hank Sr. walked on stage there. You know, but somebody was, and you gotta keep it going, man. But I love what you're doing. I think it's great, and I think it's also, from where I'm sitting, it's interesting that you have the opportunity and the chance and the drive to sit down and talk to people that you're getting stuff and stories from them that people don't know. I don't know, that other people may not know, and yet you're sharing through your vehicle. You're sharing their stories, and that's touching other people, whether you're sitting on a bar stool playing one or you're out here doing what you're doing now, man.
It really has been a blessing, and is a blessing. You know, I have people say, you know, one guy sent me a message and said, you know, my mother has dementia or Alzheimer's, and I started showing her your videos about some of this stuff, and it's been a way for us to kind of reconnect, you know, because
Yeah.
we grew up listening to the radio.
Yeah.
Man, that's, you can't, you know, money can't really pay
That's
for
solid gold right there, buddy.
So that really means
Well, it does.
something.
Well, when you touch somebody, you know, any way that you can, if you can make a positive impact on somebody, I don't care if it's saying something nice to somebody at a drive-through. Maybe they're having a terrible day. Maybe maybe they can't make a car payment. There's something's going on and they're just down. And if you give them just a positive something, man, I really appreciate this. I appreciate what you do. That helps, man. It's just because we don't know what's going on in other people's lives.
No.
You know, you may think you do, you may have an idea you do, but sometimes you don't. And it's just to be able to do something, anything that's going to put a bright spot in a not so bright day. That's very beneficial to and you get something out of it too. You know, I do. I mean, if I feel like I've done something that made somebody feel a little better, not that I set out to do it on purpose, like, look what I got you, or how you like this card? None of that. None of that. But just maybe it's just something you do without thinking about it or or you don't know what that might mean to that person. But it might make you feel good because without doing it purposely, you did it because it's coming from the heart and not necessarily from the head. You know?
That's right. And we don't ever know what battles people are fighting.
No, we don't.
There's more times than not, somebody, especially nowadays, as hard as everything is, man, it's a different world.
Yes, it is.
I will say, whenever that night in Huntsville, whenever old Mark came out there, man, I was so happy. And I had just had him on the podcast.
Oh, really?
And I mean, it was a few weeks later, and he said, you know, told the story about Teddy calling him, and he went down there, and then him and Randy had a moment, and just you know, man, it almost brought tears to my eyes. You know?
That was a special night, man. I was there too, and I didn't know I heard.
Yeah.
I think Tony had mentioned something about it, but I didn't. You never know.
Yeah.
And then, and so I got there, and man, I saw Mark maybe a couple of years ago when the boys in the band did a thing here, and he got up and played mountain music with them. Just showed up and played it and gone. But we talked. We had a good little visit that night. And that was the first time I talked to Mark in years and years. And then so that night when I got there at Orion, I just went over side stage like I normally do anyway, because it's what you do. Mm-hmm. He was sitting there, but I think he had a cap on at the time, but he didn't. Honestly, I was looking around. I wasn't looking at everybody. Hey, how you doing? I just went there and plopped down in one of the little folding chairs on the side of the stage there. There's probably 20 chairs, and he was sitting there, and I don't think I saw him enough to. I was one of these, and I wasn't on a handshaking tour, and I turned around there. Damn, it was Mark Herndon, and then we had the best conversation. We talked, man, for about everything. But it was like it's like we hadn't not talked in a long time, you know. But that was cool. Yeah, when he went out and did that, that was special. And then, of course, hey, man, is he back with the band? You know, it was one of these deals.
Yeah.
That went on for like wildfire for a while. And no, it's just one of those things, man.
But it was special because it just, you know, letting bygones be bygones and realizing, hey, look at all the crap we went through, and we can't just leave that where we left it. It's this full circle right here.
Yeah, it was, and that whole thing was, well, I'm glad it happened.
He talked about it.
I'm glad that happened because there was a lot of misguided
It was
stuff that went on at the time, but again, it seems to have cleaned itself up now, and everybody's it's good to get things off your chest.
Oh yeah, it's important.
And then clean it up, you know. And I feel like it's all good now, man.
They went out there and took their bows, and I mean, Teddy was just squalling.
Yeah,
He was so
he
happy.
can't, bless his heart.
Oh, I know.
He can sit here and talk about that chair, and he'll start crying. It's like I said, I love him for it, man. He does not hide his emotions at all. He can't help it.
No,
he cannot help it. I love him to death. All of them, but he's. You can count on. Don't get him. Don't throw anything at him that's going to be. Or you're going to have to take a break. You better get some toilet paper so he can blow his nose a few times. But anyway.
He's real, man.
Yeah, he is.
And you are too.
The real deal.
You are too, and appreciate you
thank
doing
you,
this.
man. It's just, I don't know. You just got to be you, man, whatever it is. I mean, I don't know. I've just never, I'm proud of what I've done.
Yeah.
I look back on a lot of it, whether it was my radio stuff or this Alabama stuff. I'm really proud of it and honored and blessed to it, but I don't wear it on my sleeve, you know. I just assume people not know what I do.
That's the good part, though.
That's what I do. I have to put it out there because of my position, you know, whether it's the songwriters are putting it, somebody's got to speak on behalf of, and that's what I do. That's really what I do. It's what I've always done. But I'd rather talk about you than talk about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, I get it. But I know what I did. That's fine. And if anybody else, it's like we said about social media, man. I'm not.
Yeah.
If you go to Facebook, and I never post. I never do anything. I've done it a couple of times. It's like when Lee Thomas Miller's son passed. I put something on. It was an Instagram actually, and I put it on there. It's something I needed to say, and I did. But if you go to supposedly my Facebook, whatever it is, page. I don't even have where my picture's supposed to be. It's one of those, just a black circle. That's it. There it is. You can look at it right now. Greg Fowler. Yep, there it is. The man has no face. I don't even want to put that up there. It's like, you know what? You know what I look like. If you don't, what difference does it make?
Yeah.
If you do, you do. You don't, you don't.
It can be used for good.
Well, you have to use. I mean, my gosh, man.
Oh yeah,
it's your vehicle. And I use vehicle a lot, but it's your way to get from A to B and Z and D and all that. But it's, I'm fortunate that I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I probably should do more of it. You know, hey, come down, whatever. But there's other people doing it, and our fan base takes care of that, man. You don't have to worry about that. They're all over stuff, and of course you got this crazy AI that's nonsense
insane.
that's going on with some of the things they're doing. But, you know, it is what it is, and that's all. And then the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I got to say about that.
Man, I ain't going to wear you out too much. I appreciate you doing this.
My pleasure, man.
It's good to sit here and talk to you.
Yeah. No, I've enjoyed it.
I have too.
Totally enjoyed it. You got enough there for a documentary, man. You got the Greg Fowler story will be right there.
There you go. And a couple pictures out after Randy's documentary comes out.
I will. I'm gonna find you. It's gonna be supposedly. I'm gonna call. I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna call tomorrow, Monday, and say, okay, I'm gonna call down there to Jack State to my contact. It was a ramrod and all this, and ask her. Okay, so what's the deal? Let me know. I want to know in advance so I can promote it ourselves, you know.
And I'll help however I can too. I'll be glad to.
That'd be great. It's good, man. It's really, really good.
I can't wait to see
it. It's really good. It's like, whoa. This is like
next level.
This is like Hollywood good. You know what I mean? It looks. I mean, it's not. It's all good. So you gonna play your outro, man? You got an outro to go with your intro?
I ain't got an outro.
You need to. Well, you can write one, can't you?
I don't know, man. It's been a ball, and
absolutely, my pleasure.
I appreciate y'all tuning back in with us too, as always, and we'll see you next time.